Sports. My name is George, joined by Tanner, and this is the Collegiate VALORANT Fall Brawl. I'm excited to be here, man. These teams have tried incredibly hard to make it where they are right now, and this is the culmination of those weeks and weeks of hard work.
Yeah, that it is. 314 participating teams throughout everything to get here. It's the top four. It's the top two in the East, the top two in the West, and it literally is going to be a brawl.
Oh yeah, the semifinal is going to be crazy. Like, we've looked over the teams and the players and whatnot. We've been studying the VODs, and oh my word, the level of play here is just through the roof. It's going to be absolutely crazy. And there's a ton of other stuff as well. We got to mention there's stuff like prize pools, of course, for sponsors. We'll get into the schedule in a minute as well. There's a lot of money on the line, Tanner.
Yeah, there is, and I think that's not something that you see a whole lot in the collegiate scene, but this is an ever-growing scene, right? So I think one of the biggest things on top of everything that comes behind the gameplay itself is we're starting to see, teams on the rise, players on the rise, prize pools on the rise, tournaments on the rise, and this is just one more stepping stone.
Yeah, a giant stepping stone at that. You're going to be on a good stage. You can show all these VODs to potential teams that you want to join later down the line. Maybe hit up some VCT teams. We'll have to wait and see. Let's have a look at that format, though, and how the teams got here. You were mentioning before, Tanner, top two teams from the East region and the top two teams from the West region. You can see there at the very top, Eastern Qualifier 1 and 2 go into the Eastern Finals, Western Qualifier 1 and 2 into the Western Finals, and then straight into the playoffs. And yeah, there's been a ton of crazy things that have happened throughout those qualifiers as well. Like, we've seen teams go on an absolute hot streaks, and they're all battling it out as well for the prize pool that we were talking about. Let's take a look at what they could win today. First, second, third, and fourth. But the first place is, of course, where you want to be. $2,500. Second place getting $1,250, and then $625 split between third and fourth.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is you made it this far. The showcase that you put on to get here, it's great. And at the very least, you've already made it in the money. Like you said, you want to hit that 2,500 in first place or second place for that 1,250. But hey, at the very least, you've got your consolation prize in that 625. And in terms of the games that led up to this, kind of jumping back towards that bracket, I have to give a shout out to West Virginia University, because they probably had one of the most grueling lower bracket runs. If you guys do want to take a peek over at the mainline graphics, you guys, or brackets, excuse me, it's when I'm looking at the numbers, there's so many games played just to get to this point, and again, they made it in the money.
Oh yeah, they did. And I do want to mention another thing, Tanner, by the way.
Yeah,
there were 314 teams that participated here, and we are seeing, of course, the final few. And battling out of that prize pool is one thing, but it's the pride and glory of everything else. Let's have a look at the schedule, though, for the next couple of days. Of course, right now, it's 1 p.m. in Pacific time, at least here in LA. Semi-final 1, we do have Carleton University up against the University of Houston. And then the second game of the day, semi-final number 2, University of Hawaii versus WVU Potomac State.
Yep, and that, so it lines up perfectly, right? I know what you guys are probably thinking coming into this one. We're here in the playoffs, right, from that format bracket, and it's the number 1 in the East taking on the number 2 in the West, that being Carleton University, number 1 East, University of Houston, number 2 West. And then we jump on down, and University of Hawaii, who had a pretty miraculous run in their upper bracket, beating out University of Houston in the first round, and then actually beating out SJSU as well, San Jose State University, which up to, today or just recently is kind of regarded as one of, if not the best team in the Western region. So for University of Hawaii to come in off of that victory in that bracket, absolutely huge. But they're going to be going up against that Western Virginia University squad who had that hero run through that lower bracket. And I think at this point, if anybody has nothing to lose, it's WVU. They've got nothing to lose, so they can just kind of put it all on the line here.
Well, they're going to have to. That's my favorite storyline, by the way, is the fact that Premier got knocked out by the University of Hawaii in the upper bracket of the Western Regional Finals. They got 2-0'd. Like, if they manage to face up against each other again, there's going to be blood, sweat, and tears poured into that match. That is for sure. But, of course, they first have to get past their opponents. And we got map select coming up rather soon, of course. And tomorrow we do have our finals as well. But this is going to be your first semi-final, like I mentioned, the Carleton University versus University of Houston. You can see the rosters on the left-hand, right-hand side of your screen as well. East Division, sorry, seed number 1 versus West Division seed number 2, like you mentioned, Tanner. But this Carleton University, oh my word, this team is stacked, Tanner.
Absolutely stacked from top to bottom. I think obviously one of the biggest names outside looking in is Danny, but not to take away from the rest of the squad. They all have their highlight moments. You go to the Tespa Carleton Twitter and you'll see highlight reel after highlight reel after highlight reel. And like the contrary to what we said about Western Virginia University, where they have nothing to lose, Carleton University has everything to lose, Jaws, right? They're coming in. They haven't dropped a single map on the year. And, sometimes things happen. So I think there's a lot of pressure on the line. And we're going to get to see one of my favorite things in traditional sports and esports, kind of how teams outside of their individual performances handle the extra pressure coming into this one.
Yeah, let's have a look at the maps, though. Might as well just get right into it, Tanner. I'm looking forward to seeing this one. Danny's going to have to impress, I think. If any small slip up, you best believe the other team's going to take advantage of that. Let's have a look at the maps that you're going to be seeing today. Map number 1, Ascent. Map 2, Icebox. And then rounding out, if we need it, we've got Haven.
Yeah, and this, if we're continuing that train on Danny, these are 3 great maps for Danny. These are 3 great Sova maps. That's where Danny likes to be, bread and butter as a whole. Ascent is a really strong place to start. You can do so, basically playing against this Carleton University team. University of Houston Premier are going to have a hard time, right? We have maps that have 2 bomb sites. We have maps, or a map that has 3 bomb sites. Well, on Ascent, with Danny on B on defense, it's going to feel like 1 bomb site. It's going to feel like you can only go to A because of what Danny is going to do. And I think notably for University of Houston, their roster is kind of an evolving roster, right? They have Tan, they have Sully, who like to go back and forth. And we wanted to highlight the matchup between Danny and Tan to, I guess, highlight the Sovas in a sense, but they're going to be going back and forth. And I think that is really huge. I think you need to have somebody who's comfortable on that Sova pick to really be able to put up the same showing that Danny's going to do in this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the storyline right there. 2 Sovas, 2 of the best Sovas in the Collegiate battling off against each other. We've seen some incredible Sova ults from Tan.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's an absolute monster. But is he going to be enough to take down Danny? That's for sure. Do you want to see some cross map Sova ults just aimed at each other? I think that would be the funniest way to show down at the very end of it.
Yeah, that is I guess like the number one thing, right? Is when one Sova starts to ult, the next one tries to fish him out, and we'll see.
The giant anime battle.
Yep,
Dukening from across the map. Let's have a look at the agent select, though. Let's jump straight into it right now, because I just can't wait to get this underway. We're, of course, jumping on to Ascent as our first map. Carleton will be on the offense first. And let's just lock in the Sova. I mean, yeah, there you go. Instantly, as soon as I said it, perfect timing almost. It was like he was listening to me.
And we've got, we're still in the, I guess, the Sky meta. I don't think anybody wants to really play with anything else, but we're on the newest patch, minus Fracture. We're not going to be playing that map. And the Sky did just receive some nerfs. So it's interesting to see Niner and Koi both kind of lean towards that pick still. Obviously, still gets a whole lot of value. And ultimately, it's kind of just that re-equip speed that you get less of the duelist feel from the Sky and more of the actual initiator. Hey, let's let our team kind of play around this one as we jump into Ascent as well. We're still waiting on University of Houston to lock in, but it does look like Tan Bands is going to be rocking that Sova this time around. Usually it's him and Sully kind of going back and forth with Sully on that Omen. I think Sully looks so good on the Omen, so I absolutely love that. And then we will get that head-to-head that we kind of talked about. Now, the star players for these rosters, we talked about the Sovas and what they're going to do, but the Jets, most importantly, Jivey and Moobs, are going to bring so much for their team. Sure, again, Jet nerfs, but I think all of that kind of outside or out the window when you still have that tailwind and what it can do for you. So those are going to kind of be our players too, if we see these teams lacking a little bit, to really start to propel their team and kind of be that tip of the spear.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a Jet v Jet, Sova v Sova in this kind of game for sure. A lot of cash on the line as well. Jivey too, a phenomenal op player. And Ascent is one of those maps too where you can play super aggressive. You can just, if you're on the defense, you can just peek down main, look at tiles real quick, dash back to the rest of your squad, and rely on a lot of those tripwires as well to slow people down for those rotates, or even kind of an aggressive push as well if Carleton want to punish Jivey also. Here we are, Tanner. We're loading on to Ascent for our first game of the day.
Map 1. The pistol round underway, and it looks like Carleton want to lean over towards the A site. You can see they got their Killjoy set up out towards B. No turret setup or anything like that, so kind of passive, giving up that space. And, oh my! Oh, okay.
What was that?
Started here, Jaws.
Jivey just got a collide headshot with the Sheriff to start us off. We were saying it might be Jet v Jet, but it might just be Jivey versus the entire team in that instance. That is one way to open up this map and round.
Yeah, I mean, and there's... You can't prep for that. That is not something you can prep for, and I love that we get a small look inside the mind of Jivey saying, hey, I'm taking the Sheriff to him here in round 1, but pushing onto the site again, just no way in.
Another headshot from Jivey, make that a 3rd. Now only 1 member from Carleton left remaining. Just want to secure some kills, get some more money in the bank, but it's all over at this point. They know exactly where he is, even flashing out as well. Sky nerfs, what Sky nerfs? Rubsky does end up finding 1. Can he find more? A couple of low health players in the other team. In fact, another one, but no. He's going to get shut down in the end. Nice trade by Eric to round out the round.
Yeah, and so that was obviously the collateral at the start of the round. You can't really account for that. That stings 100% as we see him just coming around the corner. I mean, bird out, both initiators taken down. That's the biggest thing right there, right? We talked about Danny and what he's going to do for this team. Well, he didn't get to do anything on the pistol round. So if you wanted to get ahead, you got to get ahead there. All thanks to Jivey. And we're going to have to pay attention to Rubsky for I guess, a lot of this game, because that lurk was actually a play out towards tiles, a push all the way up towards mid, and then he plopped his turret down just outside market to watch that rotation to see if anybody's trying to flank on Catwalk. And again, we jump into the next round, Jaws, and it's Jivey doing it once more.
Yeah. Easy shot and dash away. There's 1 kill already. Of course, no armor. Insta-kill to the body, unfortunately. Moves is taking mid control, at least trying to. Nice flash out from the sky. No one there, of course, we can see, but this is like they want to take Cat for the time being. Then into tree, but Jivey lurking, ready and waiting. I guess not lurking in this sense, but just lining him up. Doesn't even take the shot, just decides to sneak around. Sheriff pulled out. Do they know? Dog comes through, doesn't quite find any stuns, but Eric opens that one up, and then Jivey straight through the smoke. That's another win. Premier off to a fantastic start, 2-0 already.
And again, this Carleton team is the 26-0, has not dropped a map, and we're still very early in this one, so we can't really, we can't mark it down just yet, but that is the best way to get started, especially if you're coming into this one a little shaky, right? These teams haven't met one another in this kind of collegiate journey in the 314 teams. It's always been East versus West, or East versus East, and then West versus West until we get to this point. So starting off, a little flat-footed. It will be the first full buy round, and I mean, they're just stacking up strong as 5, but Jivey's just from the corner, and the blades are online.
Yes, they are. Oh, don't want to be there if you're Sully. Trying to hide in the smoke, didn't quite find anything. Niner does end up healing the rest of his team. Doing a fair bit of damage with the SMG. A little bit more from Tan, though, as he does find the shock dart kill onto Jackloff. So has that drone available, but smoke dissipates and Move takes the kill, but Jivey returns one back with the knives. Now a little bit more difficult for Rubsky here. He's going to get blinded, and they're going to be able to push onto a site, but they are against the knives and a whole lot more weaponry available. Jivey does end up falling down, and now Rubsky in a 2v1.
And it's Rubsky again to kind of be the hero. And this, even if you win this round, you're in such a terrible spot because you bought full here. So at the very least, you want to try and get that win. If you're Carleton, got the spike in hand. He's got some utility in that turret to play with, so he knows if anybody's going to be pushing through the flank. But it looks like quite possibly a long rotation out towards A. But at the end of the day, no matter where you go, you're still in that 1v2.
He's going to have to recall that turret at some point. I think he's waiting for maybe a mid-cross just to see if the players from Premier are brave enough. Small little fake, but look at that. Premier read him like a book, it feels like. Still 2v1 situation for Rubsky, and I feel like this is almost impossible. Maybe he can get in onto the site, but Overcam's still, cam is still available.
Mm-hmm. And that cam was the biggest tool here. Maybe some credits netted here right at the end of the round. But yeah, there's just nothing you could do there. Eric Appleson, the kind of the Cypher only player, had that cam set up at A, so there was no threat at all that Rubsky was making his way over towards that site. And then with 14 seconds, I mean, you got to pull the trigger, and B had to be the final destination. So a really tough place to be. Not only losing 3 rounds in a row, but it's looking like another one because of the economy. And for Houston Premier, it's flourishing, right? They've got that operator online here. So Jivey, just like you noted at the beginning, Jaws, a huge op player. And I mean, to this point, I wouldn't even say an op crutch, right? We've seen how strong he's been with the sheriff behind him, with the knives behind him. Now we get to see that power spike in the operator. Oh, no, I jinxed it. He sold it.
Come on, man.
I spoke too much about it.
Oh. Jivey, come on now. He's definitely feeling himself in this match already, though, you can tell. He was just picking up the orb. Gonna pull out the knives. Of course, they are on more of an eco. A couple of them bought sheriffs. They are up against a full arsenal from Premier. Jivey with the first blood. Danny ends up going down. The star player for Carleton already taken out.
And just trying to catch a mid lurk, but couldn't get all the way up. When we see again the proficiency of Jivey and what he can get done. Jackler picks up 1, Koi able to get back 3, and I mean, if you blinked, you missed it, Jack. It's another tough spot for Rubsky.
Yeah, Rubsky left alone at the very end once more, trying to push into tree, trying to secure a couple of guns. He's managed to kill Koi. And the bomb is in a choke. Like, your Premier, you know where that is. You know the route that Rubsky is going to have to take. He's still holding tree, and one player from Premier is holding the mid. Still doable here.
A lot of time. 30 seconds on the clock, too. And, I mean, they seem to be unaware of Rubsky's position. Finally, he might get timings coming around the corner, and Tanban's just with the re-equip right at the end. It's kind of worst case scenario. But Jaws, Carleton, they got to move quicker, right? It's Rubsky has 5 and 4, sure, top fragging for his team, but what has he been able to do, right? No rounds behind it. He's always kind of left. It's maybe if not move quicker with Rubsky, the team needs to move a whole lot slower. So that way Rubsky can actually do something outside of just that lurk. Okay, now I'm stuck in a 1v3. What can I find on the way out?
Yeah, it's like, it's okay, guys. I took 2 guns. We're good. Go to the next round. Always winnable. We spoke about Danny a ton too, and he's sitting at 0 and 4 currently. Not the best spot to be in, of course, especially as we've hyped him up, and I can imagine his team were relying on his pop-off ability on the Sova. And he's sending the drone down mid. They know that's clear now. And is also going to use that dog to try and sniff out some additional information. It just looks like a mid to potential B push here. Oh, spotted through the smoke, but Eric Appleson again pops out through the smoke, takes out moves, and now Nina's just stuck in a sorry situation. They know an additional person's here. The bird comes out, hits the flash, but Nina now losing all of that ground that they made. As Eric once more punishes people by just jumping through the smoke and playing a proper jump scare.
You know, that Ask for Utility used once more, but it's really only to secure positioning. We haven't really seen anything aggressive off the back end. Based off of how fast Carleton are moving, you would expect to get a bit more out of that from Jacklorf. So this time around, they make their way onto the site. They have the spike, the lockdown as well. So all the utility set up, but it looks like they just want to disrespect it, Jack.
Yeah, it does look like it. Seekers come out. Nina finds 2. Danny finds another. Make that 2 as well. A double kill for 2 players from Carleton, and they eventually find a round. Perfect push in. They heard that Killjoy ult get placed right in the corner. They knew where that was happening. Sent the Seekers out. Everybody got disorientated, and that was the first round now on the board for Carleton.
And that was right after internal conversation. Had to have been, right? You 4 rounds just about in a row for Rubsky to be the last one alive and always just be a little bit slower on the play. This time around, Rubsky's with the squad. They make some plays out towards mid. They don't get a whole lot, but they're able to play as a full 5 and have that full power. So it's either speed it up with Rubsky with you or slow it down and allow Rubsky to develop a lurk and develop a play out towards mid like we saw developing in the pistol round with that turret up towards mid right outside market. This time, same kind of thing, same kind of approach, a split out towards mid. The spike is down just outside B main. So again, it looks like maybe a B split should they find the success in the utility or find something right off the rip here. But the Trailblazer should sniff this one out for the most part.
Just spot at least one there. The smoke comes down. They know Solly's positioning at this point too. Are they still going to work off this? I mean, Hoops has still got a couple of dashes as well, so potentially could go for a smoke peek again, but I'd be worried if I were him, because Eric Appleton is just dominating these smokes more often than not. You peek through it, he's going to peek through his and insta-kill you. Danny's made his way up as well. You see near the orb on B, but very slow round from Carleton at the moment.
I've got your trail.
And it's, I mean, completely red. The utility usage is just so good. Now they're going to try and make something happen, but you got to pull the trigger 30 seconds.
Huge blind actually coming out from Sully. That was absolutely massive. Just almost thwarted this mid push now, but no, moves, finds Sully, and now they have door control as well. Jivey ends up getting taken down. Danny now pushing onto the site. Tan, the only one actually on the site, 1v4 right now as he's trying to wait for his teammate, but it's not going to have it happen. Eric Appleton, the last member alive. And Carleton, they're coming back. Tanner, 2 rounds now on the board for them.
Wow, and I hate to keep saying it, but Danny had arguably one of the largest kills in that round. Jack Lorf was just running down Speedway, didn't check the corner that Tanbanz was in, and right as Tanbanz is looking to find the kill on the Astra, who was holding the spike at the time, Danny swings down the stairs and finds that kill to the side of the head. So a huge play there, just good positioning, good timing to be on that site. And I love now that, unlike what we saw in the first 4 rounds, Carleton are starting to switch it up, right? It was fast in the last round, lockdown on the A site, look to find the frags. This time, a little bit slower. They traded out the utility. They played it slow until they had to hit that site, then they play it quick. Now, we're also getting this utility usage in combination. You're getting that grab swarm on top of that A site to try and clear things out, and finally, Carleton is starting to click.
Yeah, Koya ends up going down as well. They have Divide too available, and Danny's Sova ult. It doesn't look like they really need it at the moment. Niner's going to take control of Tree, but Eric is there with the trade. Does end up getting the headshot onto Niner. Now he can push it onto the side, but vision obscured once more and has to play this a little bit more slowly than I can imagine he wants to. I say that. He lays down the cage and pushes straight through the smoke. Eric, Jivey, both making their way through the door. Location revealed too. Danny knew exactly the game plan, and now it's only Jivey. 3 HP in a dream. Dashes to the left, but no, Rubsy's going to be there with the trade from main. Carleton, they came into this one, Tanner, with an unbelievable record. 26-0 with their current roster. No maps dropped. They don't want to drop this one. They don't want to blemish that record.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things for Carleton is the experience, right? In Danny kind of having played around the scene a little bit, I think it took those first 4 rounds to slowly start to read this Houston Premier team to kind of get an idea of what they were looking to do. Now they're privy to that dart coming out in B main, where the utility is going to be tossed out as well. They're also privy to Sully trying to play inside his smokes, and he might just get punished for it as Danny picks up 2 with the Hunter's Fury.
Yeah, double kill for Danny, and now they just make their way onto B. Easy peasy. That divide is so good as well. I mean, yeah, Eric, he pushed through smoke a couple of times, getting a couple of headshots in previous rounds, but is he going to be able to push through this wall? They use the dog to gain some information. They know 2's on site, and Eric has already made his way in and then back out again as the recon bolt does reveal him. Cage in the middle to obscure Rubsky's view, as they do flash through as well, but it's just being delayed so often. It is a 4v3 situation too. Make that 3v3 now as Koi's picked up one and Jivey with another. Op kill straight to the dome. Now Rubsky in a sorry state also. Niner's not even on the site, mind you, as well. So this could be a fairly easy defuse here if you're Premier. Niner finds 2. Jivey finds 1 with the right click on the classic, but it's not going to matter. Rubsky with the backup kills Jivey off in the end. And they tie it up 4 apiece.
And that was looking doable for a second. That was really scary, the way that they were just able to kind of assume their position on the site, and Carleton just gave them too much. I was literally just about to say, this is a bad spot to be in. A 3v4, you're already down a player, and one of your players has an operator, right? You can't really do a whole lot unless that operator finds some value some way, somehow. They were all cordoned towards that defender-sided spawn, and just, I guess, I don't want to call it an ego peek, but just kind of an unadulterated peek towards the operator. Jivey's able to get some value. Another kill on top of it really opened it up. The round went to Carleton, but if you're University of Houston, you're kind of looking back at that one and saying, hey guys, we did just as much as we could.
More mid control.
Bomb grenade out.
Or attempting mid control from Carleton. I mean, it's worked out for them in the past, so why not try it again? It's a very aggressive push up here from Tan. Tan bands. Oh, spots one in the spawn almost. Let's take a little bit of health off. Doesn't really find much else from there, and it looks like a rotation now from Carleton.
Yeah, they make some noise out towards mid and B. This is kind of where they've been living, right? You want to start that default mid B, and then if you can find something, look to make that split. If you can't find something, then head towards that A site, which we've seen in a few rounds previous to this one. It's all four stacked up. It's Rubsky out on his lonesome over towards B, and we'll see if this was enough time to allow Rubsky to actually get some value on the lurk, because Danny, again, Jivey does it.
Oh, Jivey, 1, 2, and 3. Moves with a collat. Takes out one, whips out the knives. Make that a third. And now a push in from Tree. Or to Tree, rather. Sully does find Rubsky. And a no-scope maybe, but it's not going to work. They're going to try and knife him. Are you serious? Moob ends up picking up the Sheriff after killing Sully off. And it's a 1v1 with 12 seconds to go.
10 seconds left.
Moobs has the spike. He's just going to rush onto A. Drop the op as well. Or not drop the op even. He dropped the Sheriff for the classic. They're in the right clicks maybe. He knows the catwalk. Yeah, he knew he was on the catwalk. So Tan is going to have to play rather careful here. But it's... He just timings him. Yes, he does. Tan manages to do it. I thought Moobs maybe with the 90-degree flick was going to have to pull that one off. But what a crazy play in Tree. Moobs with almost an ace there.
That round makes me so happy, Jaws, because it really highlighted what we were saying. If not the Sovas, it's the Jets. And that round was perfect. Danny taking off immediately. It looked terrible, but Moobs gets a collateral for his own. So it says, hey, Jivey, I see you. I'm going to match you. And then pulls out the knives and really starts to wreak havoc. I think one of the biggest things is you look at the momentum that was gained from University of Houston in the previous round, right? 3v4 situation. They almost win the round. Well, they go into the next one off a round loss, but lots of momentum off of the individual plays, and it's a thrifty round. The knives from Jivey, the Sheriffs across the board did so much, and they're able to get themselves back in the win column. And this is a scary place to be for this Houston squad, or if you're Carleton, excuse me, because this Houston squad is so momentum based.
Or mid-control from Carleton now. They did manage to spot out Jivey, who's now hanging around by Tree once again. Slow and methodical. We said earlier, Hannah, that maybe they need to play it a little bit more quickly, but that was before they took 4 rounds back-to-back.
Careful here.
Okay, so Core using the dog there to spotting out 2 in mid, and now Moobs is going to play contact off dog from his teammate. To B now. Oh my word, I'd be annoyed if I was Eric for that one. Doesn't manage to kill Jack Lawf. It looked like almost a guaranteed kill, but now Sully alone on the backside. He's 1v2 right now, finds one. Can he find the next one? Yes, he can. Danny ends up going down. He's still controlling the site. And now it's a 2v1. Rubsky in the same situation he's been multiple times already in this match. Let's lay down the Killjoy ult too, but Jivey's just looking down that straight, and he's not even in the lockdown either. Rubsky does end up seeing his arm, but jumping towards the site, using the pressure from that lockdown, but it didn't go matter. Sully with the 4K this round ends up securing it for his team. This game is a lot closer than I had envisioned.
Absolutely, and I'm getting flashbacks. I watched the second go at things for UH Premier. They played SJSU in another tournament, kind of sparking up, and they ended up losing. But one of the standouts was solely on the Omen, and making plays like that, if not on the flank, and then slowly bringing up the rear and kind of crunching on a team to be able to get back into that boathouse and then just stand, basically plants his feet and just stands and bangs and is able to find so much for his squad there. And again, it's Rubsky who just doesn't have a whole lot to get done in these 1vx situations. This one just as quick as the last, but we're already 1 for 1 on the round.
Introductory coming across the map, but Danny ends up taking down Eric on the site. And now all 3 members from Carleton now pitching themselves around the site. We do have the Seekers available on the side of Carleton if they really want to use them, but being all on the bomb site right now seems a little bit of a waste. Yeah, it does seem like Premier have deduced that that was the case. Wallbang damage happening now as well. As Jivey does peek aggressively around the corner. Rubsky punishes him. Judge to the dome. Boy ends up trading 1, but Rubsky there again, picking up Tam Bands. Nice 2-piece with the Judge. Close range, and they pick up yet another round. Now spend it all. Last round before we end up switching sides. Could very well be a 6-6 at the half, Tanner.
Yeah, like you said, not as close, or this is closer than we were expecting. We kind of mark Carleton as the team to beat here, kind of the sure favorites. I think what kind of cements this, and I really shouldn't get too far ahead of myself, but what kind of cements this as the 6-6 half is the buy on the side of Houston is really bad. I think there's a Spectre and a Sheriff, some light armors kind of dancing around as well. We've seen thrifty victories, so you can't really count them out just yet, but you don't have the same tools, right? You don't have the jet knives online. You only have that neural theft to work with from the Cypher, and well, he's just not at the right site right now. So for Carleton, it's kind of up to them to take the fight to University of Houston Premier just because they do have that weapon advantage. And oh, that's exactly what they're looking to do as that door closes. The wall bang is going to find some damage on Koi, who will sneak away. And the crunch here on the A side is imminent.
I've got your trail.
Very much feels like it. And Rubsky's holding mid as well. Here come the Seekers. So overall 2, trying to rattle people on the side. Koi ends up going down. Nice up drop from Moves, but instantly Jivey trades it back. Killtop, Jacklorf, and Moves. Now 9 is going to have a tough time trying to get onto the site now. And Rubsky once more left alone in a 1v4 situation. And well, no, bomb 2. Well, you haven't really got much to do here, unfortunately. You're going to have to come up with something crazy. Ain't going to happen. Rubsky ends up going down. That's the half. 7-5. In favor of Premier.
Switching sides.
And I apologize. I jinxed it. I've been throwing out too much caster curse on the first game of the day. I said this looks like 6-6. Sure, you couldn't count out Houston, and well, that was exactly why. Moves. What are you doing, man? That was a huge oversight for that updraft. Rather than just trying to play that generator angle up towards heaven, tried to jump up top on the generator. And it was just, you know, the Jivey shooting gallery. He was able to do whatever he wanted in that round. So I think what we're starting to see is the micro slowly start to slip away because Carleton has been struggling with their macro. They've been struggling to get Rubsky in the fights and to get value out of the lurk. We wrote it down in our notes, right? That it's lurk city for Rubsky, and they need to again allow that killjoy to get the lurk off and get some value out of it, or play together as 5 and just kind of throw the lurk to the side. And speaking of playing together as 5, stacked up towards the A side, and they're looking to make it fast here.
The soak does come out there, and Koi's in a lot of trouble. There you go, Jivey once again showing up big on the scoreboard. Sully is at least getting the plan, but Danny's holding heaven pretty well. Takes out Tan, and at least takes out the camera as well. 2 people in hell currently. He sees the cage flip up. Execute from here. There's 2 people in tree 2. Niner can push out rather easily. It's going to be up to Danny to go for these big trades. The smoke's going to dissipate in a moment. As Niner ends up picking up 1. Sully ends up falling down. There's Danny. Jumps on top of Jivey. Nice right click from Eric. And he picks up the next 2, though. Pros don't fake. Niner is defusing. He knows this is the situation. And unfortunately, a little bit too late to the party as Rubsky ends up taking him out. That will be Carleton picking up that pistol round.
And going into the second half, it bodes well for Carleton to be on defense because you kind of sneak away from that macro and how your offense needs to be. And you can just, you know, Rubsky, it's not about what he's getting or the value he's getting on the flanks anymore. It's about what he's doing as the anchor on X site. This time it is going to be that B site. Obviously, a lot of firepower going into this one. And, I mean, University of Houston opting into the Sheriffs here. This is a quote-unquote anti-eco for Carleton. They should take this one away just because of the weapon, or the weaponry, or the firepower. We've seen the damage that Houston can get done, so you're still kind of holding your breath if you're a Carleton fan.
Alright, spotting out Eric. Ooh, yikes. Alright, Danny, straight through the wall. He's not picking up someone with the Ares. And already, the round starts out at 5v6, basically. A lot of utility burnt, however, from Danny. I guess that's the only plus there from that situation. Now moves holding Y. Nice use of the suck. And goodbye, tan bands. Goodbye, offense from Premier. Oh, Danny peeks around the corner, picks up Eric Appleson. And this should just be it. Sully hasn't got a hope now. We've seen crazy things, Tanner.
Yeah.
But this seems a little bit too crazy. I mean, he can punch Danny in the chest, maybe. Just pick up the kill. There you go. There's one. Still a 4v1, though. The turret is doing a lot more damage than anybody else was in that situation. And Rubsky ends up assisting the turret in that kill. And finishes the round out.
That's a doable situation in terms of if Sully was to find that kill onto Rubsky, it's a free sight, maybe gets a plant, can look to take another weapon away because that's the ultimate goal in your anti-eco. Unfortunately, that turret was kind of the third man over there.
Destroying him.
Yeah. And with the sheriff, it's hard to take down.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Danny. I see you, son. Picking up the Ares again. I like what I'm seeing. I hear from Premier. Can they do anything against this Ares? Doesn't look like anybody wants to test that again, to be honest with you, as they are stacking on Cat at the moment. Pushing their way into tree. They hear the door go down. Oh, did Niner peek? Yes, he did. Okay. Bird out. Even with that nerf, it can be quite scary sometimes, but looks like maybe just Cat control and mid control at the moment for Premier.
And Niner actually garnered a lot of information. Unfortunately, you know, is maybe too much information, and it forced Carleton to kind of buy on the bait here, or the feint out towards the A site. But it heard the 3-gun shooting, so you know that 3 are stacked up on Catwalk. It makes for an easy rotation, and so does dashing onto the side. It's Jivey again, tip of the spear, but Eric Appleson to find the first.
Rubsky, Master Lurker, not quite though, as Jivey ends up picking him off. Now moves from the spawn.
30 seconds.
Can he do anything fancy? Here's a 2v4 with the bomb going down. Spike has been planted. Who's with the dash in as well. Smoke dissipates. Still got to be cautious, although we know he does not know. Anybody could be lurking to his left-hand side. 4 people on the site. I mean, yo SMGs. Gonna be rather tough. I say SMGs. I guess Chatloff's got an Ares, but
it's going to be hard to find the value. Yeah, it's all about the containment with 4 being stuck on the site. And the Ares, I mean, has the drum to do it. There's the containment. The crossfire didn't quite land for move. So Sully picks up 2 on the way out. But that was the bonus round, right? That was Carleton kind of hanging on to what they had in the previous. Now coming into this, they've got the credits readily available. I think most importantly, moves really has options, that being one of them. The operator now online, I think makes for a very scary Jet, but we have seen some of these slip-ups in giving up too much space, or Jivey creating so much space, I should actually say, in the kind of the looky here, right? Jivey jumps into the cloud burst, everybody wants to kill the Jet, and then there's Eric Appleson finding you kind of with your pants down because you're not looking in the right position. So I think that operator might struggle to find some value, and well, Jacklor with some early information, now going to be forced back by the drone, and Premier are looking to make this quick onto the A site.
Yeah, they're pushing straight up onto Jatlov's turf. He ends up trading 1 for 1, but look at the space now gained from Premier. This is going to be very, very tough to take back already. Just overrunning Jacklov. They haven't managed to get heaven control nor door control either. Unfortunately, Moves is right on the other side of it. Sully ends up going down. Eric does have health under his control. However, Niner has spotted him out and he will get traded. Danny from heaven straight through the floor, and that will be a nice little defuse there for Carleton. But what a nice quick push there from Premier. They knew that site was coming, and very good discipline from Jacklov, to be fair. He saw 2 people in it, didn't want to mess with them at all, decided to, you know, back off. We know that the rest of them are stacked there. Cool for the rotation. And then they ended up cleaning it all up. But I think nice place from both sides. It was just the gunplay, fortunately, there, letting it down at Premier.
And it was pretty heads up to dodge out on, you know, you peek out through A main, the operator's not there initially. You're thinking, okay, there's no way that the operator's here towards the A side. So you see the idea behind it. I think the scariest thing is on the rotation, retaking the site, Moobs was still able to find 2 kills with the operator. And that kind of tells you what kind of player Moobs is going to be with that weapon. This time it is an eco round for UH, so you can assume that maybe, you know, not a lot to write home about except for Jivey and the knives. We're about to get a bit of Jet v Jet, and there's a smoke just in between them.
We were hoping for the anime battles with the Sovas from across the map, but it might just be the Jets we're looking at. You got to do it. Just pull the knives as well. Just do it, Moves.
Yeah, give it to us.
Show them who's boss. Solo push from Koi, but yeah, that instantly shut down by Moves. A smoke and a dash straight into the site. Oh, the right click missed. Jackloff actually went Neo, just ducked under the knives. Niner does end up taking down 2 as they try the hardest to enter the site. Premier just shut down left, right, and center there.
That is, so I think one of the biggest things for the Jets to kind of get used to coming into this new patch of the Jet is you're not getting that refresh on the right click. So even if you find that kill, you're kind of stuck in a tough spot if you're Jivey. So I would have loved to have seen as many left clicks as you could get out there. It just in case you get that frag, you get that reset, or else you're kind of set back to that classic that you have. And we see that right click kind of, you know, falling victim to what the Jet right click can be with that Blade Storm. It was just an eco round, so again, you can't really take too much note on that one. This next round going to be a big one because this could be the first time that we really see a separation between the two teams.
Beaker's come out. There's the blind 2. Premier really just mixing up their pacing here. It's either super slow rounds or super quick. There's no real in between. Upski can. Oh, he spots them from below. There's 1. There's 2. And Danny with the Odin at the back of the site.
Wow.
As the rotation comes through from Carleton. And Niner once again with a nice little 2-piece to finish off the round. Carleton now sitting at 10. The Premier's 8. They do not want to lose here, Tanner. I said it before and I'll say it again. They are on a ridiculous streak. 26-0 map score for this squad currently. Absolutely insane. And Danny's now coming alive. He was 0-4 at the start of this series. 18-11 every single round. He's picking up either an Ares or an Odin. That's what I like to see.
And we're really getting a look at this Ascent only having 1 site because of the lockdown defense that is B. And it allows Carleton to get these early reads, right? You spot out where you've got a couple of players out towards top mid. You can assume, you know, a play towards A as the Sheriff's coming online. Moves, opting not to use the operator, instead the Sheriff. And I mean, 1-for-1 across the map, and now a weapon retrieved here for Sully, arguably one of the scariest players to have that rifle in hand.
That was like, where did that was crazy. Where did that Sheriff shot from Moves come from? It looked like he came from just mid down to tiles. Long shot if I've ever seen one. This is what I was talking about too, the mixing up of the pacings here. Of course, both teams have lost one, but a late execute from Premier here. Really making a use of their time, and now they sprint in. Oh no, Danny! He was on the other side of that smoke with the Odin, ends up getting taken down, and Moves is once again filling the kill feed with those AWP shots, and another Sheriff shot to the dome. Moves takes out Jivey, and Carleton looking clean. 11-8 now. Jivey and Moves. We were talking about how it might be a Tan Bands versus Danny kind of series, but it's been Jive versus Moves, really.
Yeah.
Jivey's been picking not so much up with the AWP or anything like that. It's been Moves with the AWP and the Sheriff, and Jivey just with his pristine rifle play more often than not.
And I was afraid that sometimes when you see the Jet, the Blade Storms, don't quite get the value that you hope for, but in a lot of the situations where we've seen that Blade Storm come online, it's gained heaps of value. And oh my goodness, Danny answered early. They're taking it quick here, Jaws.
Yeah, super quick. Nice shot from Moobs, though. Does dash back through the smoke, takes out Eric. At least he finds one. An extremely quick push here from Premier. And now Moobs pulling the knives. Does he know? Tanbans is here. Tanbans is 1 HP. Oh. No, he does not. Tanbans takes him out regardless of the HP. Jivey finds one on Niner as well. A nice little trade, and they still control the site. 2v1. Jack Lorth has got the division. The dog is going to come out. Oh, no. That's not what you want to see. The dog jumping straight for your face. I think he tagged it a couple of times, so it wasn't enough to dismiss it. Sully helps finish that round out. Carleton's still on 11. Premier hit 9 rounds now.
At that right there, the timing has been impeccable from Premier in individual plays, whether it be around the drone or whether it just be around spacing when they know that a player's looking to take some ground and what they can gain themselves. But that right there more specifically, right? Danny's been a problem. Well, how do you take care of that? You take care of the Sova before he can even get any utility out. Before the recon bolt got a ping, they were already pushed onto the site and Koi had found that kill. So a really good change in pace. Again, keeping Carleton on their toes. They're still trailing by a couple of rounds, and I mean, we go right back to it. If it's not the Jets, it's the Sovas, and it's Tanpans with the Hunter's Fury, and it's Danny with one right behind it. They go 1 for 1.
We go 1 for 1. That's a lot of spam towards moves. Rubsky ends up pushing out a little bit aggressively there. Previous history would dictate that, well, they only really play one person on the B site, and now we can just walk in basically for free. Look, they're going to use the bird to gain a bit of space there and hopefully flash out somebody that may have rotated early, but it's a free plant from Premier.
And I'm glad you said that and that they are picking up on that. It's the beginning of the round. If Danny doesn't get any information, he's boogieing on over towards A to try and stack things up there. So the reads pretty good so far for Premier. This time around, though, it is going to be that 3v3. The knives are online for Jivey should he need them. And Moobs aggressive with the operator here, trying to find something early. No,
oh, he's found one. He's found one. There's one person at the back of the site. The bomb is ticking. Koi ends up going down. Jivey, 2. Danny ends up straight through the wall with the headshot. And there you go. Nice little defuse from Carleton. Oh boy. Now match point.
Match point.
This is a scary situation. Look at the money on the side of Premier right now, Tanner.
Yeah, you know, they've done more with less, but that was on the defensive side. And I think that's where your buys that look like this are going to get a lot more value because Carleton had to walk into your crosshair. Now you have to kind of force that play, force that angle, force that peak. And it's going to be very interesting to see. I think one of the scariest things outside of Sully not only having a rifle, but having that from the shadows available for a flank play, but it's these knives from Jivey. I think this could be one of the tipping points, and that is a bad way to start off what could be map point.
You lose one of your ultimates as well, right? That neural theft now no longer available for them. Oh, there's the dog. Can they actually capitalize off this? I don't think so. The service is up. Oh, straight through the top, though. That's Shorty onto 10. Ends up taking him down. Sully just tag teamed there, unfortunately, from Wine. And there you go, already over Carleton.
Wow.
End up taking the first map in the series.
Yeah, undefeated. They remain. It looked scary at first, but in our notes, we kind of had the experience behind this team. Outside of all the set plays that they have, the defaults that they can run, although they did seem to fall a little flat in some of their attacking sides, it's the experience that comes out on top of it all, right? It's the ability to adapt in the mid rounds, the ability to adapt when swapping sides, and get a really good read on this Premier squad or this University of Houston Premier squad. We've kind of been going back and forth on the names, and I don't want the people in chat to be like, wait, who's Premier? I'm seeing UH, and I'm seeing this and that, but either way, Carleton just looked so flush in really just being able to find these reads. Houston was figuring it out there at the end, but it was just a little too late.
I mean, there's one thing we can take away from this first map is that You've got a crazy amount of highlight plays to put in a reel right now, so that's definitely a good thing. We're going to jump to a quick break on the other side of it, though. We've got map number 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a bit. Everybody, welcome back. And we've been watching a little bit of Valorant today. And speaking of which, CSL Esports and Prize Picks are running a $25,000 collegiate tournament later this month. Registration is open right now, so head to cslesports.com for more details. You can see the regional qualifiers are on October 23rd and 24th, and the playoffs are heading for the 30th and the 31st of this month. So make sure you head over to the website and check it out.
Yeah, hopefully for an event like that, maybe in the playoffs we get some player cams, because that's on Halloween. So I'd like to see some of the players maybe cosplaying as their favorite agents, or just whatever their Halloween costume might be.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of that. Maybe, or dressed up as just scary characters to scare their opponents or the audience. One of the two.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind, to be honest with you. Right, we're heading into map number 2 very shortly. It's actually going to be Icebox coming up next. Carleton University. They are still undefeated with this current roster, Tanner.
Yep, they hang on to it. It looked scary for a second. The first 4 rounds start slow. The next couple of rounds, Carleton slowly starts to battle back, but then we see them kind of fall into that same lull where 4 players are kind of on the same page and they're moving a bit quicker than their lurk, or vice versa, right? Where the lurk is maybe trying to do a bit too much early in the round to kind of match, and it was falling flat. And that's where Houston really kind of came out on top. And then eventually on their attacking side, I think the worst part about it, that is where I kind of draw the line in terms of a close game, right? 13-9, it's pretty close. But you took a little too long to read that play towards B that you noted, Jaws, where Danny leaves very early. You only have 1 player to worry about, and unfortunately, you just didn't have the rounds to spare in finding that out.
Yeah, unfortunately not. But it was a lot closer, I think, than a lot of people imagined, considering Carleton of University's record right now. Let's jump into Agent Select, though, and see what we got running today. For Icebox, come on, it's going to be the same, roughly, I can imagine, from a couple of people. I'm looking at you, Tan and Danny, both locking in the Sova, I can imagine here.
And we got a nice bit of Sova v Sova. We saw the Hunter's Fury. Each time we saw it, it was typically matching the kills. I think Icebox is an interesting map because the Sovas can still do Sova things, but this really mixes things up for University of Houston Premier, right? Eric Appleson looking to be on that Viper rather than the Cypher only, basically, for the rest of the maps across the board. Sully is going to be leaning away from that controller pick and maybe in something that can get a bit more value and be a bit more aggressive. Should they lean on the double duelist? You really are looking at, if Sully locks in that Reyna, it's the Reyna versus the Raze. And although I think Reyna really has her place and gets a lot of value, you have a lot of, nooks and crannies and corners that you can get more value out of the dismiss to get away. You can obviously leer through a lot of the walls. I love Raze on this map because of those same reasons, the same nooks, the same crannies, but you have so much more utility to kind of fish out some of these players that are going to be hiding, in the 410s towards the A side, backside on a yellow box, just on the backside, defending on B, right? That paint shells get so much value here. So I'm really going to be keeping my eye on Niner in this matchup specifically to see what he can get done with all the utility that comes with that Raze kit.
It's just like, yep, there you go. They're locking them in. And how do you feel about the composition here from Carleton? Of course, you have the double wall with a Sage and the Viper as well. Viper just absolutely crazy on Icebox.
Yeah, so I expected this to come out from Carleton. They don't run that conventional Sentinel, the anchored Sentinel, I should say. It's just going to be that Sage. And that's what you kind of forfeit in running that double duelist. You can look to play the double Sentinel or the double duelist. I like the Raze here. I obviously love moves back on the Jet. I think one of the biggest things here, Jaws, is we really saw Carleton flourish on the defensive end of things on Ascent, and now they get to kind of pick up right where they left off here on Icebox.
As we head on in, does like Carleton on the defense first?
Yes.
We have the University of Houston on the offense. Very, very early snake bite. That's a fair bit of damage, though, mind you, already. Of course, you do have the Sage heal, so it shouldn't matter all too much. Very quick take of yellow box by the looks of it, and an instant wall off there to plant the bomb. This is fast and furious from University of Houston.
And I don't know if this is kind of muscle memory for the Sages, but that tall box is no longer wall bangable. I think you can get a bit more value out of that wall. Obviously, you're cutting off the rotate, but if you go a bit deeper, you can also cut off that tube. So maybe trying to get out of that muscle memory from how Icebox has played previously, but now the fights are starting to happen.
Yeah, Koi ends up going down. They still got that wall to deal with, but it doesn't matter for Sully, apparently. He just dinks Niner through it. Does peek himself. A nice dash backwards as he finds Danny. Jivey on an absolute tear. Takes down Jackoff as well. Rubsky doesn't stand a chance against the rest of them, and University of Houston will take the first round.
Wow. And they do it again. They do it again. Like I said, that wall going a bit deeper, I think it funnels the defensive side better, although it still worked out in favor. I think you can get a bit more out of that. So I want to see how that evolves as we get deeper. I think now this is a scary place to be for Carleton, especially playing against these teams that they have not played and maybe as often because it is East to West. You know, if you play another West Coast team, should you win this series, I don't know how much you can risk in playing that reactive style. You really need to try and kind of stop the bleeding early. So I'm hoping they can do that here. It's just the anti-eco, so it should just kind of be this.
Should be this. Well, it's definitely this.
Spike down.
A lot of SMG play. Oh, Rusky didn't stand a chance. I like the double 5 stack on the A site. Just 5 people. Just running into it, another 5 people. I love it. Bloodbath. That's what I'm all about. More of a judge player myself, to be honest with you. So chaos like that is welcome in my book.
Yeah, this is more damage was done than you would have hoped for from Carleton, because you can kind of see the cogs turning, right? And what this buy is going to look like. You want to try and go flawless if you can in this in that anti-eco round. That's not really the case, so it is just going to be Marshall, a couple of Spectres, and some Sheriffs. But we know just how dangerous this Premier team can be. Not only having a lead and some momentum, but having they make the most with just the least amount of utility, and well, ripped away.
Gotta be shut down pretty early on. Oops, pushing up aggressive too. Oh, he has got the dash and the updraft available too, but it doesn't look like he needs it. Niner ends up trading Eric for Tan, or Eric for Moob, sorry.
Last player standing.
Now Sully moving on to the site, and that should just be it. Very, very nice early frag there from Moobs to start us off with onto Jivey, and that really what opened it up. I feel like Jivey is what you've been saying, Tanner, is the spear, head of the spear. But having him taken down that early does put a dent in their plans. Now Tan fans just looking for some additional kills, maybe. Just maybe.
30 seconds left.
A lot of time to work with. Spike in hand. It's a 1v1 everywhere he goes, and
But
yeah, was not looking the right way. That would have been a tough one anyways, and it's again the eco round, or the bonus round that was very hindered from the round previous. Now we get to see kind of University of Houston, this Premier squad, play the actual game. It's not just the Sheriffs and the Marshals that were kind of ripped away early. It's going to be the full buy, whereas on the inverse, on your full buy, if you're Carleton, when you take damage like you did, you can kind of see where the economy is, and it was Niner to, I believe, actually sell back some utility to be able to afford that Phantom for Rubsky. So maybe you get a little bit less in stopping power from this raise. And by stopping power, I mean, you know, actual stopping power, stopping the push. You might not have that boom bottle, those blast packs.
nice little Viper's Pit on the box. Just cover so much of it. Tan just trying to get as much information as possible. But look at Rubsky's positioning. I mean, it's like Ezio right now, just looking down at his prey.
Yeah.
He uses that bite to cover the orb as well, so almost assailable at this point. You're Houston. Yeah, and they realize that and actually backing off at this point. And they've even walled mid. It's like, hey, could you guys go B? Cheers. We've got Viper's Pit down and there's a wall in mid. You guys should go B, I think. Maybe, just maybe, please. Thank you.
This is, you're kind of hoping and praying that you find something. Rubsky has been sitting in the same position, so it is a little scary for the Viper, but obviously, you know, we get the wall hacks, and we're able to see that where it does finally look like the sheepdog strategy of Carleton might actually pay off.
Scanning ahead.
30 seconds left.
You managed to get the dart down. Nice kill. Delays them for just a little bit.
Spike
Oh,
down,
the
mid.
Sage slow as well. And Sully against Rubsky. That wasn't going to happen, unfortunately, my son.
One enemy remaining.
Now it's all on Danny and Niner just sitting in these corners. Nice crossfire. Beautiful trades. And Carleton, hey, there you go. They're back on the board. Not quite like it was on Ascent, with Houston going up 4 rounds before Carleton can do anything. It was those hero plays, I felt like, more often than not, in those earlier rounds. Last map there, Tanner. And it's the complete opposite at this point.
And we talked about the momentum that Premier really needs to kind of get going. And there's a difference in the momentum, like winning the pistol round and the anti-eco versus winning the pistol round and the anti-eco in the way that you did on Ascent. Kind of just like what you're highlighting, right? It was collaterals, it was 3Ks, it was really a standout performance to kind of get everybody pushing forward, to get the morale up for the whole entire squad. This time, they don't have that same start. They don't have the same kind of momentum behind it. And, well, the Sheriffs have to do it again, and they just can't.
You could call it a showstopper performance last map.
Nice.
Nice. That was also pretty nice. The kill onto Danny. And now it does look like a rotation towards B. The knives are available. Or moves if he does need them, but he might not. And even a pit as well for Houston. Nice use of the Viper's Bite too to stop that plant going, where make sure the time for your teammates to rotate through the gas. That ain't gonna happen. Sully's decaying as well. Beautiful flip around the corner there. Does manage to pick up the headshot. However, even with this rifle, he's still sitting fairly low and moves on high ground to finish him off.
Just another tough one for Premier. They were completely reset going into that round, so they were just kind of battling with what they had, and they didn't. I think the best part about it is they didn't give up too much, right? They didn't look to get that spike down and then immediately drop that Viper's Pit to secure the round. They kind of hung on to the ults that they have. They've got the Empress for Sully to do Reyna things. They've just around the corner from the knives for Jivey, who quite possibly needs those knives to come online. I mean, they're basically 5 ults here, so this is a scary place to be if you're on the defense, just because you have so much from Premier to take out this Carleton squad.
Emperor spot from Sully pretty early as he does move up with the drone. Rubsky again, just hiding. Not anymore, unfortunately. Yep. 4 or 5 members from Houston. Just take him out, just spraying through the smoke. And there's the Viper's Pit as well, used on the site. However, wow, ult from Danny takes out his rival in tan bands. Even Niner picking up the kill onto Jivey. Jivey's been just shot down time and time again. Niner with another one, does a little bit of damage to Sully. However, in that Empress, does get a little bit of that HP back. Can he clutch this one out? Potentially not. 1v3. The knives available, but not anymore. As Moop ends up going down. There's another headshot for Sully. That's a 4K. Can he make it a 5th? Danny, the last member alive now for Carleton. The superstar Sova player. Can he make this work? Yes, he can. Shuts down Sully at the last possible second. Denied the ace and gets the defuse. Carleton, 4-2 now.
Wow. That round 6 on Icebox, I feel is kind of the round that we might just put a stamp in this, where it was the tipping point. What could have been the tipping point? It could have been all of the momentum Premier needed and Sully finding that ace, clutching it out in a 1v3 situation, or it could be the inverse, which is exactly what we got, and it's Danny kind of going back to his roots, being this star player. And then if you're Danny and you're IGLing this squad, having the momentum, being able to not only be the brain, but also the aim in the team as well, I mean, it just bodes so well.
Are you kidding me? Okay, moves a little bit aggressive across the ropes. Jivey does go down to 5 HP, mind you. I think Moves was hoping there to maybe get one, pop the knives, or maybe just dash back. So he gets tagged by the recon bolt. Doesn't really care though. Sully's definitely feeling himself after that last round, even though he didn't quite clutch the ace. Who's smoke? Is he going to get timings? I don't think so, but Danny ends up killing off Koi and flicks straight onto Sully. Eric is going to be able to get a plant at least with the aid of that Sage wall, but it doesn't matter. Danny's there with another kill. 3K for Danny. Jacklaw finishes off tan bands. And Jivey all alone against the showstopper. It does go wide, but it's a 1v4. But despite being defused, pros don't fake. And Danny gets the defuse as Niner picks off the kill. Nice little W there for Carleton. Really making it hurt now for Houston. Money not looking great for them right now. But on the flip side of it, Carleton, they're feeling rather jolly, I can imagine.
So tough for Premier to let that round kind of unravel the way it did. Danny got so much more value than he should have. And then just the space, nobody was stealing it back from him. He was kind of wide out in the open. There was nobody to peek. They thought they were safe behind the wall, so Koi tries to go for the plant. And, well, what do you know? Danny doing his best Batman impression, and he's on top of it.
Oh. Nice trade onto Ivy there. He did pull the nice moves with another one. Pulls the knives of his own. Double updraft to try and scope some people out. It almost ends up getting taken down in midair. A nice spray from Danny, though, on the trade. He finds two, but Tanbans picks him up. But once again, left in a 1v3 scenario. He's got his ult and he's got the bomb, but Moobs has the knives. He's half HP. Tan, maybe with the kill. Yes, he does manage to get it. Now it's very doable. A resurrection onto Danny, though, as he almost baits him out, and Jackaloff doesn't even need the backup. Oh, man, Tan is just so close to getting these clutches, I feel, but it's pipped to the post, unfortunately. Danny is getting so much value as well, by the way, Tanner. We should definitely speak about that in the back left corner of the A site. He's been there, like, the majority of the time, and every single time there's a push from Houston. He picks up 2 kills at a minimum.
Yeah, and eventually you're going to have to punish that. How do you, it feels like Carleton have done a really good job. It looks like a poor job to start, right? They've had 2 players, Niner and Moobs, in the last 2 rounds, die immediately getting too aggressive, so it kind of lulls Premier in to thinking that they're safe, and then they just run into this Titan, who is Mr. Multi-Kill, and Danny, who is the bouncer at the door from this A site, and if you're gonna come in, you're gonna pay for it, and that is going into his back pocket.
The cross map Hadoukens don't quite land. Jivey uses that space clear up the A site, and now it's a retake here from Carleton. Jackaloff starts it off with a nice kill, and that's oh dear. Dan versus Rubsky battling from the spawn. It was fight there to do a little bit of damage, doesn't find too much though, but now the wall has gone up and it's obscured a lot of that vision, and Danny also in a precarious position is going to get revealed. Boy finds one, Tan another, Sully another, but Rubsky once again, the impressive lurks from this lad. He does end up finding 2. It's a little bit low though, he's going to have to be fairly careful. They're just playing contact at this point, doesn't even need it in fact, as Sully takes him down. A round on the board for Houston. They make it 3-6.
Yeah, finally a round on the board. It's been scary, right? 6 in a row from Carleton. At the very least, you start your comeback where you can try and find an even half. I think when you're kind of going into things blind, if these teams are kind of just as blind as we were in terms of preparation and seeing VODs, there wasn't really a whole lot to be able to check out, at least that I could find. So I think being on the defensive end of things might be the best option in this matchup. So if you're Carleton, you want to try and get as much as you can, unless you've got something crazy in the back pocket for attack.
Jivey has just been shut down time and time again. Gets the second chance at this point as Koi goes for that res. Well, it's gone up in mid too. Sully looks a little bit paranoid there in the midsection of the map, making sure there's no one coming up behind him. Spike has been planted as Danny does make his way rather aggressively, mind you. Can't wallbang that box, unfortunately, anymore as Koi ends up taking him down and now moves in a rather precarious position.
Last player standing.
Couple of kills out the gate from Houston, looking absolutely spick and span, clean as a whistle. Rubsky in the unenviable position once again to try and clutch this one out for the rest of his team. That slow's going to do a little bit too much even if he did touch it, and Koi ends up taking him down for the 3rd kill of this round for him. Houston coming alive finally here.
And I really like the swap or the change in mentality behind the way that they played around that Viper's Pit this time around. It was Rubsky using it on the A site once more. You peek out towards B. If you don't really see it out towards B long, it's you can assume for the most part, hey, that one is over at A. And this time they don't even flirt with that idea, right? They don't go over. They're not trying to spray through it. The last time they try to, instead of going to the front of the A site, they try to go around the back. This time they say, hey, let's just hit this B site. And it worked out perfectly. It was a little unorthodox. They planted at a different spot. But again, like you noted, that box not being wall bangable, it really made for Premier to have as much space as they did on that B site and then refuse to give any over. And Moobs and Jivey just keep going back and forth.
Say back and forth, but it's definitely more in Moob's favor, that's for sure. Jivey was nutcase on Ascent, but Icebox just not his map. It's been shut down time and time and time again. Remember, he opened the whole series up, the whole day up to a double,
Yeah.
like a collat with the Sheriff. And now that flame that was once burning bright, now merely an ember, it feels like. Oh dear. Oh. Skip.
Yeah, all good. FNS. The escapes forced to use the tailwind though, so the strongest ability, honestly, what feels like in the game. And Rubsky, the strongest lurker, the strongest anchor maybe in the game.
30 seconds
Wait for
left.
rotations to come through now. Any moves still on the A side, making sure it's not a fake, but you know it's not. Sully has made his way up. Empress, of course, online as well. It's a very dangerous situation, but a one tap from afar. Niner finds 2 kills. Oh no! How did Tan get that kill? He was switching weapons. Daddy does clean him up in the end, but Robsky, oh dearie me. He just changed your weapons, flip back, and he just dinged him in the head. Last round before the switch now. 7-4, lead Carleton. Danny has now truly come online too. They are 1 up in this series as well. All Houston to play for now. They need to get back in this map, Tanner.
Fortunately, it's going to the last round of the half and the last round of the game. Last time it didn't look great for Premier. This time it does look pretty good. That one Bulldog, it doesn't feel the best, but I think you might still be able to find the value you're hoping for with the rest of the rifles. No way.
And Moose just playing so aggressive with these op shots. Like, he's just pushing into them time and time and time and time and time again. And he's getting value every single time. Nice kill onto Niner at least. Little jiggle, but no, Moves just sitting there waiting. Pulls the knives as well. Danny's there for the backup, and now Jivey on the high ground at least. Oh, Moves! Jivey finally gets his revenge. And now Danny, in his rather faithful spot to the back of the A site, finds Tan with his back turned. Now Jivey in a 1v3. Last round in the half. There's Danny, ends up winning the duel. And we go into the second half. 8-4. Carleton leading.
The inverse in the scoreline. It's Carleton ahead this time in map 2. The last round there, again, it's tough when you're kind of stuck in this weird spot of struggling to find things early. And the only time that Houston really felt like they were getting anything early is when Carleton gave it to him, right? Is when Moves was pushing too aggressive, is when Niner was pushing too aggressive, and they were able to pick up kills. Houston were able to pick up kills because of that and punish that aggression. After that, Carleton did a good job of not giving anything up and kind of making Houston make a play. And when you force somebody to make a play, that's when you can also force somebody to make some errors. The one-dimensional attacks there towards the end eventually kind of felt like the downfall of Houston, but now they're on defense. Like I said previously, they can slow things down. They can look to play contact, and that's where they were very strong on Ascent as well.
It was a weird timing there, actually, from Eric, unfortunately. He poked around the corner. I don't think he saw anybody. And goes for it again. Sees a couple. Nice little boom bot to clear out yellow. And a wall ascending. Well, both of them, I should say. Oh, shots from the corridor. Oops, you've done it a couple of times through the smoke, but not this time, unfortunately. Carleton get the plant at least, and now just can play contact off this wall. Wall's going to disappear shortly, though. They're going to have to be a little bit more careful. Did he not see him? Ooh, he does now. Ooh, okay, a few shots from Sully. Ends up dismissing away. Danny finds one as well. Eric through the smoke, tries to push yellow, doesn't quite get it. Koi is going to stick the plant potentially, gets halfway there. Rubsky finds the kill onto Koi eventually, and now it's up to Sully. It ain't going to happen. Danny peeks around the corner, ends up taking the kill. That is 9-4 now. Carleton in the lead.
I did see a pattern in the games as I was going back and kind of just looking at the score lines to see how some of the 2-1s or the 2-0s ended in the brackets leading up to the fall brawl here in the semifinals. And a lot of it looked like a close map followed by a not so close map. And this right here is looking like that not so close map. Houston opting into forcing a couple of marshals into this one. I don't blame him. It stings that Jivey just has not been able to come online. So with Jivey being a marshal wielder in this one, with Sully being a marshal wielder as well, you're hoping to get a lot done here with these body shots, but it's to the full armor of this Carleton squad.
A rather quick rush in here. Moves on the high ground. Finds one, finds two. Here's that marshal shots just whistling past his ear. Boy, actually, is going to be able to pick up this gun at least. It's going to wall off just in case. Jivey, this is going to be aggro. There's two people planted in that corner to his left. He only has 26 HP. Ain't going to survive long, especially against Niner, who's just kind of camping here. No, doesn't even need it. Moves finds the kill. Of course, the plant is down as well, so it's up to the rest to retake. Moves maybe with the ace. In fact, nope. Niner steals it. Unfortunate. Report him. Now Carleton with a 10-4 lead. I mean, maybe a little bit of a warm-up.
Oh,
in map number 1. They are truly coming alive now. A little bit of a timeout as well. Just recollect your thoughts. Get your head back in the game. Because Houston right now could be out of the semi-finals if they aren't careful. Only a couple more rounds for Carleton, and they're good to go.
we didn't get a single timeout on Ascent in map 1, and now this one may be feeling a bit too late here in map 2. Carleton at one point had strung together 6 rounds in a row before eventually going 8-4 at the half. So it's a timeout no less, like you said, kind of collect your thoughts and maybe some way, somehow get a read on this Carleton team. I think one of the most important things coming out of this timeout is outside of maybe Jivey and Sully, I'm not too sure what their economy is going to be looking like. They should be okay for the most part, but it's going to be a full buy for Houston Premier. So you take this time out, you figure out, hey, how do we want to play this one? What's our positioning looking like? And then you have the rifles behind you to the kind of damaged eco round. No, okay, I said kind of damaged, but they're just looking to not even bonus this one. Carleton just buying a Phantom up right into the hands of Rubsky.
It looks like Carleton saving a little bit of cash here and there with Danny and Rubsky. About 2,000 in the bank each. And Jackloff as well, actually, saying that. Or it's online available either, unfortunately. I love how aggressive Hoops has been, even on the attack, just playing contact off this drone. Really trying to spot people out. Spots the Rainer. All goes up. There's the dash. There's all the utility just being thrown with the wind. Hoops, fortunately, can't just dash across this small bit of land, but instantly taking the site. The problem is, look where the bomb is. It's actually going towards B instead. Rubsky, he spotted him too.
I mean, genius read. Eric Appleson just hanging out here, probably saving this round here. Not only picking up that first kill, but all 5 still alive. The rotation called. You can rotate if you're Carleton, but this is a really bad spot to be.
9 HP as well, and like you said, phenomenal read. Just because they took that much space doesn't mean they're going all the way. They might do now, as they've got 2 guns. One in the containers, but Coy ends up taking down Danny. There's Eric. Taking down Niner. Okay. Warmed up just a little bit. Let's go, Houston. 5 rounds on the board still. A mountain to climb. It's Carleton still on 10. Look who has the knives. It's Moobs. He's buying armor. He ain't buying anything else. Just going to dash him with the knives. Hopefully quickly take A once again. Like the mime games that they're playing with them, though, Tanner. Just taking A completely and then just rotating to B. Unfortunately, Eric Appleson was there.
Yeah, that's, I think, heads-up play. And Carleton kind of seeming to be a bit too aggressive in times. But also, after that timeout, understanding that they need to reel it back in. Like, hey, this isn't over, right? 10-4. We've probably lost games like this outside of, obviously, our 26-0 season. It's the knives. Go wide, and now Moobs was armor and knives, now just armor and classic in a really tough spot. But Carleton just keeping Premier on their toes. That round didn't go their way, but you have to assume coming to the next one, right? You have a few rounds to play with, and they've still got plays in the book.
He's just trying to dink people with a classic from that range. Yeah, there's some unfortunate... Oh, there you go. He's down. Not too much of a shock there. Ball comes up. Slow being thrown out as well. Now, where do Carleton go from here, Tanner?
Yeah, this is tough. They think they have the read, that they've done enough, just like in the last round, to call everybody over towards the B site, but they haven't done anything except for lose a player out towards mid. So Houston, again, another great read, this time not Eric Appleton, but the entire squad
30
still with that
seconds left.
5-point stance across Icebox, and they can just play the man advantage. They don't have to do too much.
Over dashing away. He calls the rotation. Well, from Eric, who's just going to sit there just in case it's a fake again. But no, there's the plant coming down from Rubsky. Danny in the mid ended up being taken down by Koi, but this is what you want to see from Carleton, laying down that Viper's Pit. Very tough ultimate to Ascent, and even the wall coming out too to just annoy the living daylights out of them by the sounds of it. Well, unwinnable situation there, unfortunately, even with the Viper's Pit alive and well. There you go. Houston pick up another round.
And Koi shows off his Beyblade collection there, spinning on the spike, getting that defused.
I used to have a small Beyblade collection back in the 90s. Not 90s, it was early 2000s Beyblade, I think. Probably still got them somewhere.
Maybe time to that's your sign to bust them out and get the dust off them, see what they're worth.
Probably not much. They're probably battered. Just unfortunately, like Houston right now, quite battered.
Yeah.
He might be able to come back into this. Jivey not having the showing that he did on Ascent, unfortunately. There's still time to get back into this one.
Well, Carleton. Oh!
My word. Skill on Jivey with the second. Yep, he's on the high ground. He's ready to rock and roll. He doesn't care who's approaching him. Moves is going to go for the peak. Takes down his like for like, but now it's a 1v3. Make that a 1-for-0. And Houston once again picking up another round. There were SMGs on the side of Carleton, so it wasn't exactly a fair fight in that regard. But still, picking up round wins here and there. It's going to mean something. That's 3 rounds, in fact, back to back at this point. Not out of this just yet.
You talked about, kind of want to slow things down and get that read on defense. And I was just about to say Carleton's not going to let him. You saw Niner tossing out all that utility, but Sully with a huge kill to really stunt that attack. One of the things that I'm starting to get worried about, and this might be the round that we see it. Yeah, Eric Appleton does it a bit too late, and that's not the best pit. You can go right over the top of the ropes. But I was thinking they have him as this anchor out towards B. Where do we see the pit? And just a very awkward call in placing that one down because he got there so late.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. That 410 box not being covered like you said.
For you.
Danny still manages to find value. Houston still have one person just perched up on B. Just in case there is a rotation. Looks like a heavy hit for Carleton now. 55 seconds left in the round. With a lot of ults for Houston too. Even that resurrection. So something to keep in mind. Houston right now. They could go for the res. If they hear this rotation, they call it. It could be a free res. If the Sage rotates out of kitchen, of course. Depending on how quickly they want to execute.
30 seconds left.
You called it perfectly. Jivey still hanging out towards B, getting so much value there.
It kills Niner as well. Rubsky at least trades it. Now they can make their way onto the site. Sage walls available. There you go. Ends up going down. A spray through from Koi. He does manage to find Jacklov as well. That wall got broken almost instantly. He can see the bomb.
Revealing area.
And the resurrection from the Sage still available for Houston, but it looks a little bit too late at this point. Nice little snake bite and a rotation from Moobs through mid. Ends up going on a nice little flank, and they do end up picking the next round up. Carleton sitting on 11 now. Houston dangerously close to getting eliminated here.
Backs against the wall, and because they strung together 3 rounds in a row, their loss bonus is as bad as it can be. And they can buy into this round, sure, that's fine. But if you don't win here, it's really going to be sticks and stones like we've seen coming into these backs against the wall rounds for Houston Premier. So this is not only a really important round, but one where you have to pick yourselves up off the ground because you had a huge oversight in that last round. You bit off more than you can chew with that Viper ultimate. There was really no planning going into that round. You have to forget about that one. And this right here is where you need to be the best Premier team that you can be.
Enemy.
Using a fair bit of utility. Oh, the ult. Sully, can he dodge out the way? He gets hit by one. Oh, he's good though. The plant is going to go down, however. You do manage to make their way onto the site using that Sova ult. A lot of cover and just gaining so much space. Low health members though. On the side of Carleton, Rubsky finds Sully. It is traded for Jivey, however. Or moves, however, even. And there's the showstopper. Oh, not even needed, though. Right in the corner. Nope, not needed again. Showstopper missed. But it doesn't matter because Koi is on the spike. It's a 1v2. With one person at his back, one person at his front. He's going ever so low. That Viper's Wall doing him dirty. 1 HP. Is going to be able to kill Danny off, maybe. No, he is not. Carleton now on match point. Houston, they need a miracle.
Match point.
And let's take a look at the buy. You could see there's so much hesitation, so much fear in that retake from Houston to be able to get on that site. They allowed not only everybody to back away after that spike get planted, which it was up top in Nest on this site, which typically kind of tells you, hey, they're playing for post plant, right? You got your Viper lineups here, you got your shock darts here. If you get information as to where that spike is actually planted, then maybe you are ready for Danny on the flank who went all the way throughout mid. Maybe you're ready for Rubsky, the Viper, to be playing off this site as well. They just took too long to pull the trigger. And now again, sticks and stones, the yard sale buy, backs against the wall.
Fashion from Moves has got 3 knives left. Is going to be able to get that plant down as Jivey and Danny end up falling over. At least they got the spike. That's the most important thing for them right now. The knives from Moves is just tearing through the opposition. Look at him go! There's 1, there's 2, and 3! And just like that, Carleton take Icebox and the series 2-0.
Yeah, that's tough. It was in game 1, we had a lot of good back and forth. We had great reads coming out from Carleton, and that is really what kind of pushed them over the edge. Houston failed to find the reads until too late, and then you give up 13 rounds, unfortunately lose. And this one, I mean, it was just the Moves show. It was, you highlight the Sovas, we highlight the Jets, and unfortunately for Houston, Jivey just could not find his footing. The Icebox was a bit too slippery, and he didn't have his skates.
Yeah, unfortunately. He started off so strong, though, on Ascent. Like, he was getting pick after pick after pick, like these early frags. But nothing on Icebox, it felt like. A little bit more invisible than Moves, unfortunately. It's like they switched almost as Moves is just taking over the game for Carleton as they continue their undefeated streak as well, Tanner.
Yeah, that's got to be a good feeling. I had questions about where the pressure's at right now for Carleton because you have maybe teams that you play pretty consistently in the East, but now you're coming over and you're playing, you know, the West teams and somebody that you might not have the most familiarity with. So there's the pressure in that alone. And then on top of it, you know, you're the team to beat. Everybody's got eyes on Carleton. And as the series kind of progressed, it seemed like that wasn't even an issue.
Yeah, what are they now? They must be 70, maybe 80 and 0. No, they're about 28 and 0 currently with their roster, undefeated in maps currently. That's absurd. Can they make it all the way? Of course, they're now in the finals. They do manage to take that straight to VCT, maybe. I don't know. Like maybe to Masters, maybe to whatever land that right or hold it next. I'm not sure, but they're looking clean right now. And we picked up Danny a lot before the season, before the series started. And we said, he is the superstar player. Like he's played in a lot of these high profile tournaments already on some to prove in challenges, finished top 16. Like this guy is very, very good, but he wasn't the flashiest player there. Like he wasn't getting a crazy amount of kills. It was just his team just helping support him. He was, of course, on top of the scoreboard a lot of the time, but God, the player to watch there was definitely Moves.
Yeah, Moves was, I mean, did the jet roll so well in entering, in just being that tip of the spear, being a problem, even in like we saw on a couple of rounds where they were playing defense, even in the rounds where moves would kind of go out early, Carleton always had a plan behind that, right? And I think that is the brain of Danny and the experience of Danny and the rest of the squad, on top of, you know, sometimes the tip of the spear, it gets a little wild, you know, it kind of does its own thing. And what can we do once that, what's our fail-safe plan right after that? And it was lulling in Houston to thinking that they had a free site. And then obviously you can rely on that player in Danny to then just do Danny things like he did here on Icebox. The Carleton roster as a whole, I think there is some polishing to be done. I think in the defaults, they have some room for improvement in the way that they play with Rubsky and the lurks and things like that. But when it comes to kind of the mid-rounding and when stuff hits the fan and they're like, oh shoot, what do? They really kind of, I don't want to say thrive in the chaos, but they can reel it back in really well and just be that eye of the storm.
Yeah, most definitely. And we will be hearing from an interview momentarily. We do have a Niner coming on in just a second to talk us through what happened and what was going through their head during that series. I mean, it looked a little bit closer on Ascent, and I want to know what was going through their minds, especially when they were down 0-4 to start off the series. Was they bounced back completely? Yeah, and they went from there.
Yeah, that's, I think, the start of both of these games, kind of. Well, we didn't get to take a peek, unfortunately, for map pools as a whole. There wasn't a whole lot of information for us to kind of just read off of and see where teams are strong. But I think where Carleton was lacking a little bit in that early game was kind of just the early game jitters. Hey, this is not a team that we're incredibly comfortable with. Also, the map pool, we don't really know how they play this, and they had to kind of fall back on that mid-rounding, which is the best thing that you can have, quite honestly, for the team. You're seeing the best teams in the world saying, yeah, sure, we have set plays, yeah, sure, we have defaults, but a lot of it is our ability to just adjust around what is happening and off the information that we're garnering. And although it did hurt Carleton a couple of times, I kind of think back to the Ascent game where I believe it was Niner on the sky playing out towards tree room. Here's 3 rifles and says, hey guys, there's 3 rifles over on catwalk, come this way. And then it's Houston to read that and rotate over towards B. So it did hurt them sometimes, but outside of that, they do a great job at getting that utility, or getting that information from the utility.
It sounds like we've got the interview ready to go as well. It is going to be Niner joining us. And what a series to start us off with. Yeah. I want to ask you, what was going through your head at the first map, like on Ascent? Like, you were down 0-4. We pegged you as the kind of favorites coming into this. What was happening there?
Honestly, we're a team that takes a bit to adjust to other teams. Every team has different strats. Every team's new. So when we're down 0-4, we're in reality just adjusting to their strats. We're thinking of how to counter them. And throughout the rounds, like at the 4th round, we kind of read what they were doing every time, and we countered that, and we got the lead going.
And so you're the team that's still running that sky. We're still seeing it. I want to talk more specifically to that pick. How are you feeling, right? This is kind of our first look in the new changes to the maps, the sky changes coming on through, and maybe taking less of a secondary duelist role and more of that initiator role. Can you talk to us about how that pick feels now after the changes?
Honestly, sky before the change was, you could do a lot of solo plays. I could flash myself into something, through a smoke, probably kill the kid because I pull out my gun quicker. But after the update, you have to focus on your team more, save your flashes for the team rather than for yourself. The only times which I would flash myself for something is if I'm like a 1v1, 1v2. So overall, it makes a better team environment. You have to like have good team chemistry in order to utilize like the sky flashes now.
Yeah, I mean, you looked a little bit slow off the gate, that is for sure. But man, Moobs was just ridiculous. Like, that guy seems like an on fire kind of dude. You know, he takes a little bit to warm up kind of thing, and then when he's in his place, he manages to just wreck face. Like, he must have been screaming down the mic when he's finding some of these picks, because they were wild some of the time.
No, Moobs is a crazy player. He's used to it. He's a good player. He's one of the top in the scene, I would say. He's a player that if you let him do his own thing, he'll capitalize on anyone. Even if it's all holding him, whatever is holding him, he'll capitalize on it and probably get the trade or kill. He's just an overall like mechanically good player.
And that's exactly what you need from your jet entry, kind of a longer leash. So it feels good to kind of have that going for you guys. I want to talk to you guys, or talk to you, I guess, about the team specifically. In terms of background, obviously Danny kind of being the name that has been around the block, and can you give us maybe a little bit of background on what you guys, the rest of the squad, have done competitively? Is just this collegiate scene kind of where you guys are at in terms of the competition?
So for Danny, Danny has the most experience by far, I would say. For the rest, for example, Jack, Rob, and Moobs, they both, all three of them, were playing in the Collegiate Carleton team for last year. So they have a year experience in that. There was also for Moobs and Rob, they played on the baby squad, I believe it was, or the baby clan. Sorry, it was just like a little pug team, and they played against LG. It was a for fun thing. And for me personally, I'm the sub for the team. I'm the sixth man. The person who's supposed to be playing is on vacation right now, and he's Riv. It's my first time actually being on the scene or the collegiate scene. I don't have any prior experience. Maybe some CS experience, but that's all.
And that's crazy. You come out the gate swinging, that's for sure. Even yourself as a sub, like you're looking pretty good out there. One final question for you: who's the scariest looking in the tournament right now? Like, obviously, apart from yourselves, the other two teams that are going to battle out in the semis. Anybody you're specifically looking at? Like, that guy's pretty crazy. You don't really want to mess with him.
Honestly, no, not really. They're all subpar in my opinion.
Okay, that's the exact answer that I wanted. I'm going to be real with you. Well, thank you very much, Nina. Good luck in the finals, of course. And yeah, well played. That is for sure.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
I mean, yeah, well, yeah, like I said, that's what I wanted. I want a little bit of smack talk. That's exactly what you want to see, right? Rivaling universities across the country. I mean, it's East versus West as well. Like, that's must feel pretty good.
Yeah, you have to East Coast, Beast Coast, West Coast, Best Coast. What's it going to be? So yeah, that's a good feeling to kind of get that back and forth. Really cool insight. I love that we're able to kind of pick the brains a little bit, and then to kind of see. I was wondering. I wrote down Riv, and I see Niner. So to see that Carleton, I think it just speaks to how strong this team is. It speaks to why they're 26-0 now, 28-0. The adaptability, the versatility it's just there for the squad.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if they can carry that on in the finals tomorrow. But we've got another semi-finals to find out the Carleton opponents as well. So we'll have to wait and see how that ends up turning out after this break. Don't go anywhere. We've got a whole lot more Valorant coming up after this. Semi-final 2 coming up in just a second. We've got the University of Manoa versus PSC. And that was a close game, though.
Yeah.
Well, to start us off with, at least on Ascent, but then rounded out pretty easily on Icebox for Carleton University. They'll be headed to our finals, and our next finalist will be decided after this match. And Tanner, it's been a day already, I think. There's been a crazy amount of highlight plays. A lot of players are probably going to use in their montages and highlight reels that are going to send off to various teams, I'm sure. But there you go, the schedule. Of course, we've had that first series already. Stepping into this next one. And let's talk about this real quick, Tanner, because for the University of Hawaii, look at it, their run into the finals here. They were undefeated in the upper bracket in the Western Regional Finals, and their first game was actually against Premier, who we just saw lose. And they had a very, very close set of maps between them. Both 13 and 10. Like, they are pretty evenly matched coming into this one. It's really up to WVU here to make a case for themselves, make a statement here.
Yeah, so it's funny, the storyline, right? We have number 1 West versus number 2 East. And like you said, this University of Hawaii team, they beat that University of Houston Premier team. And it makes you think, if you look back at that one, you think, okay, Premier is a team that, you know, hot and cold, right? They can have standout days. They can have, you know, rough days where their players aren't all coming online, just like we saw in Icebox. And sometimes it be like that, right? For lack of better term. And that's a team in Premier that beat SJSU, the number 1 team in the West. This Hawaii team also beat SJSU. So if you're looking at, you're thinking like, oh, well, maybe Premier was just having a cold day. Is this Hawaii team really that good? And I believe they were the number 7 seed going into the tournament on the Western side. but to then kind of back up that win over Premier with a win over SJSU themselves, a 13-4 and a 13-7, which is a pretty good stomping against that #1 seed. I think it speaks so well to what we're about to see from this roster that feels very unknown to me. And standing across from them in Western Virginia University, we talked about it at the beginning of the day. This is the team that has nothing to lose. You made it here through this hero run, which was you go down to the lower bracket, you 2-1 over SBU, you 2-1 over Winthrop, then a 2-0 with very close games over FIU, and a 2-0 over, I believe, what was the #1 seed in Northwood in the lower bracket to make your way here. You had a really long run, and now you already get to reap your rewards in 3rd and 4th place by getting some extra cash, and I think you just look to have some fun if you're Western Virginia University.
Yeah, although there can still be upsets. Do not forget, University of Hawaii could go down here. We'll have to wait and see. Let's have a look at the maps, though, coming up for this series and who picked what. Looks like we're going to Ascent and Haven, and then if we really need it, we're going to Breeze.
Yeah, that's interesting. That Breeze is the map that I still feel like teams are kind of pocket picking, right? Although it's been out for quite some time and we've got another map since then, not in the pool, so we won't be seeing Fracture today or tomorrow. But it's one of those maps where you either know it or you don't. That's kind of what it feels like. I am happy to see a little bit of Haven because it brings out, I think, the best in the agents, where we start on Ascent, and that it kind of brings out the best in the Sovas and the Sentinels for the most part. So I'm happy to be where we're started. I'm really excited to see that map too.
Yeah, of course, if we go there, that's the thing. That's the caveat, unfortunately. That's the small asterisk next to that map. It could be another 2-0. And WVU, they did struggle the most out of all the other teams that did make it here today. Like you mentioned, they did drop a couple of maps, but they do have some VCT experience. In fact, Jay Chronic as the coach and Sorsen and Teague actually playing as players. So there is experience there, and they should not be counted out just yet.
Yeah, I think that speaks so well to the team, and you kind of see it in the run that they had. They kind of get down in the dumps, you lose early in the upper bracket, you get knocked down to lowers, and the team's able to kind of just come together and say, hey guys, we can still do this. We're still the strongest team here. Let's prove it. Although we have to make this lower bracket run, and they do just that. It's like you said, grueling games going 13-11, games going into overtime, but they're able to kind of buckle down when they need to. And I think what is going to be the biggest things that we look here, or what that speaks to in this matchup, is if they get behind against this Hawaii squad, I think they're going to have what it takes to be able to rally together and then start their comeback.
All right, enough talk. Must start now. Let's get into our first map of this series. University of Hawaii are taking on WVU, and Agent Select instantly locking in. They know what they want to play. PSC. Let's discuss these comps before, because we've already seen an Ascent today, and it has been like mainly the Jet Sovas, but we're seeing actually a Reyna coming out for the defender side here.
Yeah, we're getting the Reyna over the usual right now. It feels like the Sky, or sometimes the Phoenix. What I like about the Reyna pick, or what I think works for the Reyna pick, is the versatility with that Leer, right? That near sight, you have that range on it, so you can look to make plays. You don't necessarily have to waste that paranoia that can be so strong. You can use one of two Leers if you're on the defensive side, and say you're playing in tree room, you toss it out towards that A orb in main, and then you can have your Jet look to swing off the back end. There's a lot of versatility in that Reyna pick, and a lot of the fights that we see in this are going to be, around the generators, around the Radiant boxes. So the dismiss then still gets lots of value here. So I think that's why we're seeing it. Also, we just heard from Niner, right? The Sky nerfs kind of sting a little bit if you are an aggressive style player. And then, maybe you go to something that you can play aggressive on. I need to stop what I'm saying, though, because we've got a KO locked in here, and I was not sure if we were going to see that.
Yeah, okay. Coming out swinging from the University of Manoa, this seems like. They got their comp locked in, so it's going to be almost even across the board. The only differences there are the Reyna and the KO. How do you think this actually works for the attacking side here for Manoa?
This is crazy. I really wish we made the pun of Kami out strong, like coming out strong, but we missed it, unfortunately, with the KO pick. But the KO now, since the changes, I think one of the biggest things, before it felt so bad, You use that that null command, you rip into that overdrive, you try and be the entry for your team, and then you just get one banged in the head, you fall down. Now that ult is still going to stay online, so you're able to kind of treat it as a mini lockdown or a mini killjoy ult, because nobody wants to push into that suppression unless you are really just trying to take these aggro gunfights. So I love the KO. I also think you still have versatility. Just like you can toss the Leer through walls, you can throw those flash drives over the walls.
Push in, set up for B, but of course there's a KJ already with a ton of utility down. They spot Finn out, easily dispatch. And now Jay Chronic with a kill on the board at least, onto Mike with another one in fact. Oh my words, Comey ends up going down as well. Almost a solo hold here, but eventually the shock dart cleans him up. Bomb still has to be retrieved. Spike is going to fall down, and Teague knows exactly where that is, so still playing a little bit more careful, as the site has been taken now by Manoa.
One enemy remaining.
I mean, Spike picked up, but just no time to get it down there. Now Cold in a tough spot.
Extremely tough. No way you're winning that one, unfortunately. People surrounding you almost. Nice entry onto site, though, I must say. A couple of early kills, but a lot of that was actually thwarted there by Jay Chronic, picking up one with a shock dart and then another one just with the pistol.
Well, and that shock dart was right at the entry as University of Hawaii was trying to get in. So it found a kill, and then you had two members off the back end of that who still needed to fight their way onto the site that were sitting at right around 10 HP. So this is, I mean, that's the perfect showing, and we're about to get some more of it now with the Ares in hand for Jay Chronic, but this is why Ascent is that map that just enables the Sovas so much. And a heads-up shot there on that 0 point to stop the suppression.
Prefix with a nice little kill there. Onto Source then. Teague. Oh, I had to reload. Oh, the shot should have done it. Now Swabby trying to go for a little something, but Comey is there just looking straight over him, so there's no way he peeks that. I say that. Ested does end up going down, and Swabby picks up Comey as well as he was trying to drop down to try and get the trade. Wasn't going to happen. Swabby with a nice two-piece on the A site. And now a solo push from Cole QT. Doesn't quite find anything either. Previx, good luck in this one.
A good start to the round, but this one seeming to end near flawlessly for PSC, and that's on top of, you know, trying to make this round flawless. I think the one extra thing that you're looking into doing is putting these ult orbs in somebody's hands, right? Where are these eco frags going? And that's Finn to pick up too. So you're a little bit closer to that lockdown. Maybe not in round 3, but round 4, you have that defensive ult online, and you can stunt to push.
Marshal's going to have to be pretty special. No, not going to happen. One of these days we'll see a nice little Marshall ace or a Marshall clutch, but
yeah,
not today, unfortunately.
Now the bonus looks good. You still have that area, so you're still going to have that penetration. They University of Hawaii are kind of stacking up towards that B site. You see that they're spread out, so they obviously want to dodge out on what Jay Chronic brings to the table here in this round. But you only took away one weapon, so at the end of the day, the bonus, it's not the weakest. It's still pretty good. And on the opposite side, obviously, the first buy coming out from this attacking side, and it getting punished early.
Oh, man, a nice little flash and dash there. Sawson does get punished by Cole QT, but I think the damage has really already been done. PSC with 3 members alive. Tested, I mean, he's out in the mid.
Spike down.
He's got a recon bolt in him. And he ends up going down to a swift headshot. There's the flash drive, but Comey in a 1v3. They're all in the same spot. Maybe as possible. Spike gets picked up, but he gets put down. And that's another round win for PSC. 3-0.
And that is one of those set plays that, I mean, it just works so well when it works, right? That's, you're on your eco, your, I think, a Frenzy and Ares and the rest Spectres. There's a lot of long angles to take on this map here in Ascent. So instead of doing that, they say, hey, this round is kind of a coin flip anyways. Let's push the angles, right? Let's take away that space that the rifles usually come out on top, and then we can play a little bit of that run and gun. And not only does that find the round for PSC, but it completely resets University of Hawaii. So you're hoping for, I mean, absolute heroics to win this one. and it's already off to a bad start once more.
And no luck for the KO thus far, unfortunately. BSC just hanging back. They don't need to play too aggro here. Teague is going to play up, though, pushes through the smoke that was laying down by the Omen. And even Collegiate is a little of a rough one. Tester gets flanked, and yeah, now just Mike sitting there. A nice little flawless as Teague picks up a third. Oh boy, this is looking rather reminiscent of what we saw at the start of the day.
Which would tell us that University of Hawaii are about to start making their comeback, and then they would eventually, you know, if we're sticking to the same script, win the map. But it is a lot of the times, like we heard from Niner in that interview at the start of these games, we're not playing a whole lot of east to west in these tournaments. Everything leading up to this was west to west and east to east until we get here. So now we're in round 5. We see this a lot of the time where round 5 is kind of the turnaround because it's your second bye, and you've got 4 rounds of information on this defensive side. Unfortunately, there's no ults online, and Teague has been pretty hot with the operator.
You've got the knives too. Just kitted to the teeth. Doesn't even need to pull anything else. Just takes the free kill on Mike there. Collegiate has made his way all the way through mid, but Teague's just answering again and again and again. Call out was there. Either way, someone in mid, and Teague just looks, and bada bing, bada boom, another kill on the board. What do they do in this situation now, Tanis? 3v5, maybe they can make their way onto B. There's a lot of KJ stuff on A, so that's almost inassailable. Oh, okay. Well, see ya. Shock dart in and out.
Yeah, that actually worked pretty good in terms of looking cool, but it doesn't really do the job. And you ask, what do they do? The first things first, you have to find something early in this 3v5 situation, or maybe look for a save, but they're looking to just take the fight right to him. And Teague,
30 seconds.
oh my goodness.
Tested with 3. Teague almost found the ace. Now it's a 2v1. Empress available for the Reyna. Sourcing, finds him, doesn't need the Empress. That was so close. Tested, look like he was potentially finding the clutch. BSC managed to save the op as well. Oh, Teague is 2 and 10.
Yeah.
7, almost 8,000 creds as well. Like, BSC just ripping face right now.
Yeah, and it looked like for a second, University of Hawaii were kind of running just into their deaths until Tested started to do the unthinkable. But again, it's coming down to heroics, and that obviously we're seeing how that plays out, right? PSC is not going to give that up for free. They've got the chemistry. Well, you can't account for that, unfortunately.
Oh, there's the flash, instant back off, but Sorston's already made himself disappear almost into wine. Oh, there's the shock dart. Doesn't reveal him, but oh, that definitely will. Homie picks up 3 kills with the Sheriff. Couple of headshots and a body shot on the Sourcing to take him out. Jay Chronic now in heaven, trying to make his way onto the site. He's got the Odin, but he hasn't got a life anymore. Ifix ends up taking him down, and finally, University of Manoa, you find themselves on the board. 5 people versus Finn. Finn's going to try and go for something. He's got the turret in a couple of seconds. Maybe he pops that out, gets a bit of information, but he's going to run head first into Mike if he's not careful. And Mike just puts an end to that push. And with 5 people left alive, University of Manoa, wait, they're on the board now with 1 round to their name.
A thrifty victory, and in flawless fashion. Not only does that boost the morale as a team, but that means everybody on that thrifty got to upgrade their weapons for free. So if you get close, right, in a 1v1 situation, you pick up the thrifty, 1 person gets a gun, sure, but everybody doing it, it's just allowing this economy to flourish. You're 1 round win into this game, and you've already almost reset this defensive squad. That right there was a huge round for the University of Hawaii.
Oh, not quite a big start though. Yeah, unfortunate. Wallbang with the Odin. There's the smokes. Yeah, Teague instantly going for that shot. I mean, they knew he was there. Kobe's still at 30 HP, though. Has got that null command, however. He just lying and waiting in tree. Absolute menace. It's going to push through again. Maybe. What? Okay, that looked like it hit. Apparently it didn't. He pulls the knives anyway. It looks like a change of plans here from the University of Manoa as they do end up backing off. Still have the Hunter's Fury available as well here, Tanner.
It could look to clear something out. The B site solo. Looks like 1.5 players there with that turret. There's the null command, and they're looking to take it quick here.
Just steamrolling onto the sites. There's the null command going down. Jay Chronic, however, is just going to let it loose with the Odin. Wow. There's 3 kills. Sawston picks up Tested and Previx. Yeah, he's got the op, but hasn't got much HP. 1 bullet will do it. Oh, what a shot. Managed to take out Teague at least. But PSC, they still managed to wrap the round up.
Yeah, made it look cool, but unfortunately looking cool doesn't win you the round. It's another round loss, another round picked up by this PSC team that I was not expecting this. This is the number 2 versus the number 1. Again, we didn't have a whole lot of information coming into this one, but you look at the run and how close the games were, dropping maps like we talked about. I was not expecting a 6-1 start. I believe on University of Hawaii's map pick, PSC, I mean, just in the driver's seat 100% here.
Lockdown available for Manoa, though. There you go. News. Doesn't look like they want to go for a fake at all. Empress has been popped. There's instant kill, almost, on the ult.
Spike down A.
Now, good luck pushing in against the Empress. That's a lot of damage now done. Lear over the top. That lockdown, unfortunately, just disappearing. And they looked like they wanted to step up there, but as soon as that KJ ult was popped, PSC knew they had Hunter's Fury. They can kill it off. And Empress was popped too, so it makes it even more deadly, pushing through the smoke. Sawston even moving super far up on this site. Ooh, gets baited out. Nice nano swarm to force this position on Sawston there. Might picking up the headshot on him. Teague, as always, sitting, looking over tree. Setting up a little nest, but pushing is now coming through from Manoa. Jay Chronic is making sure no one's on cat, and now they have all the information that they need.
And unbeknownst, it is a 3v3 right here, just on the site. The health bars are low, though, and well, it doesn't matter how much health you have when you have to peek the op.
Yeah. That Aldrin did so much for them. Recon bolt. Oh, there's just no way he does this. Yep. There you go. Swabby with a little B around the corner. Hits him a couple of times with a right click on a classic, and that'll be the round over. They secure an op for themselves as well. All off the back of that Aldrin too. Tanner, they managed to scout up mid and cat, make sure no one was there. So then all Teague needed to do was look through that door. He didn't need to worry about anybody flanking him, going for a cheeky lurk. The round was won.
Fortunately, because of that thrifty win, though, and the upgraded guns, it allows for University of Hawaii to still have a bye, but this is probably the last one for some time, as they'll probably be forced on a reset back down to the eco. And, you know, going to that last part of that round, my analyst brain says they should look to find a way to save. 3v5, you're not getting a whole much. 3v4, okay, maybe, but you probably still want to back away. Obviously, knowing now this University of Hawaii team, twice they've looked to just full send it and try and get the value. But on the contrary, right, they don't have that same utility value. They didn't get the same information that PSC did, and you see why the rounds are ending up the way they are. Now, like I said, another bye round for University of Hawaii, but they have to get so much done, and at the very least, they've sniffed out the op.
It's a little bit of damage as well. Woo! LMG action through the wall. Actually, Omni that ends up coming up with a kill. Takes the orb too, by the sounds of it. Hunter Fury still available for University of Hawaii.
Yeah, still hanging on to that, and I'm wondering if it's to try and stop the lockdown. I don't know how close we are to that lockdown for PSC. It might not matter. You gotta get it off. If you got an ult, you gotta use it.
Yeah, they've revealed a couple of people, but is it actually going to be enough? Mike now pushing in onto the site. Sawston just hanging back near the spawn. He spots one go past. He takes him out too. Headshot straight to the back. Make that a second. This Komi ends up falling. Nice little spray though. 10 seconds remains. Tested. Maybe he just wants to get out with a decent weapon or get some kills by the looks of it. But he's going to run into Jay Chronic holding that angle. There's almost no hope. Operator still in the hands of PSC. They're making sure Teague is kitted to the teeth. And he's at max cash as well. So they are looking incredible. We're approaching that second half as well, Tanner. And it's looking really rough right now for Manoa. Look at the buy compared to PSC. They're going to be okay up until the round switch here. Or the half switch even.
Yeah, if you can't buy yourself, somebody will. You talked about Teague being max, just about botting up into this one. We saw the 8,400 credits on the Killjoy as well. Once more, a reset on the University of Hawaii. It doesn't feel like, I mean, you highlighted it earlier, right? The utility usage from PSC, they get all the information they need, and they know exactly where University of Hawaii want to play. And University of Hawaii have not had that same value. They don't have the same setups. The closest thing to a setup we've seen was on the last Thrifty round where somebody was in wine, they tossed out a shock dart and a fragment. And that's not really a setup, right? That's just, hey, let's clear out this angle. They've really been falling flat in the terms of utility usage, and they're trying to just take these gunfights, but you're just losing them. They need to find a bit more with that paranoia, right? The Jet maybe finding a bit more space in prefix. That looky here, dash into that smoke and look to create some space for your team to then follow behind you. This might not be the round because, again, it's an eco. They gotta pick it up somehow, and well, Teague's making it hard to do so.
Oh, incredibly hard. I mean, he's built house on that tree.
Right here.
Physical tree house. And it's impossible to assail that position. So they're deciding, actually, we go B now, but no. Finn is set up a defense that rivals Alcatraz. And PSC end up taking another round. A flawless. Still only one round on the board for Manoa. This is looking bad. And even now, PSC, Tanner, they've got the lockdown as well. So even if Manoa want to do something sneaky, not sneaky, but sorry, a bit more rush focused, just rush a site, try and make sure Teague has to peek aggressive angles. They're going to find it incredibly difficult because that lockdown can come out and just delay the Teague to get into a better spot to just AWP the rest of the team.
So this round, it's very important that, well, okay, never mind. It's no command. I'd say it's very important that you stay away from that 0 point in the knife. That will shut off your abilities, but the null command does just that. And now they're looking to take it quick. University of Hawaii trying to get on the board again.
Finn is down, though. That is bad news. I said about going quick. I don't think Finn expected it to be that quick. He can't even get that ultimate off. Teague still with the op. Oh, prefix. Does manage to find Teague, and here we go. University of Hawaii, they are coming back. 3v1, knives available. Prefix doesn't need him. Sawston taken out. And they are back on the board with another round.
Last round before the switch.
Better late than never, Tanner.
Yeah, I'm almost positive that op has been the first purchase and has gone back and forth and always been picked up. There's maybe one round, I think,
it's the original op, 100%.
Yes,
There's
yeah.
no way they're recycling that thing.
Yeah, it's good to have now with Prefix wielding the operator, has the knife should he get in a bad spot. The only problem is, like I said a couple of rounds ago, right? We need to see a bit more out of Prefix in enabling his team, and the knives go wide and trying to do so. Now the op peak and Teague will fall. This could be the opening for the 9-3 half.
They're playing very aggressive. Same with Jay Chronic. Oh, dear. Yeah, you don't want to mess with that. Someone else there as well. Finally, the treehouse has been dismantled as Homie does make his way. Pushing onto A site, trying to gather some information, but Swabby stops him in his tracks. Knives have been popped as well. Manoa, so at least they have that at its back, but still PSC with a couple of ults in their back pocket too. That lockdown could be rather devastating if they know they're all in tree. Tested moves in. Shock dart from Chronic. Uh-oh, pulled that out at the wrong time. And Tested finds two. One with a shot, one with a rifle. Sourcing at least trades it back because Prefix ends up going down. But Mike now taking Heaven. This is extremely good position from the University of Manoa. Been falling once more with the ult online. So the ultimate's not really being used. Their full effectiveness. They're not having a chance at using them. As the Nano Swarm, Sorston's position is revealed. He has to make his way through this small choke. Even with that Empress online, he has only got one Lear remaining, and it's already been taken out. Even the turret's there to guard them, so they have 1.5 players. Or 3.5 players. 3 HP. It ain't gonna happen, unfortunately, I don't think. There you go. It's all done. Half over. 9 rounds taken by PSC, though, to Manoa's 3.
Yeah, Manoa really capitalized on the kind of putting PSC in a sleep where they just catch them sleeping on the angles. In that round specifically, I was thinking this looks so bad. Whenever they try to make a play somewhere, they give up too much space elsewhere. Swabby was already pushed through into A main. They had a player up in Heaven. They had the turret down in B main after Finn had already gotten the information that nobody's close. They had a couple players out towards mid, but they had given up so much that PSC knew exactly where they were, but they just caught him sleeping on the angle. So the timing worked out perfectly. The utility right there started to work out perfectly. Now they get to kind of take a step back, and if they want to play this lull stage, and if they're struggling to find utility on the attacking side, it's a lot easier to do it on defense, to find the information. We're already seeing aggression on the defense as well, so we know exactly how University of Hawaii wants to play. They're trying to take the fight right to PSC and say, hey, those last 12 rounds, the gunfights, we're not minding any of that.
And a Swarm to slow the aggression, but you can see the A site's pretty open at this point as Teague makes his way on. The Cloudburst and a dash. Takes hull control as well as that door is coming down. Sorston gets the plant. PSC in a good spot. Condite into Heaven doesn't really find much either. There you go. Here's going to be the execute as the choke has been smoked off. Mike finds 1 kill. Can he find a second? Yes, he can. Prefix with another 2. They've taken hell control and site control as well. Nano Swarm's been destroyed as Cold QT is going to go for the stick. Yeah, it manages to get half as Comey tries to push through the smoke. They're trying to spam the bomb site, but it's not going to work. Nice defuse from Manoa. A couple of kills to round it all out there as Prefix finds 2. PSC were wiped off the face of the map, but still Manoa find the round on the defuse.
And Prefix picking up 3, you're that much closer to your knives should you get that operator online or find yourself, you know, in a round where you need to save. That Marshall also coming in round 2 should get a lot of value depending on the armor that comes out. So you have to pay attention to the loadouts on the side of PSC. The one, I guess, disadvantage to your initiator in the KO is your 0 points. Oh, I'm going to hold that thought because it looks like we might be getting into the action earlier than expected.
Oh, well, I mean, he didn't see that coming, but we did. That was unfortunate. I mean, half the health bars of the Jet and the KJ were taken out almost instantly with the airy spam through the walls. So it's almost inevitable. Ooh, nice little peek there. Thorsten feeling a little bit saucy.
And that was an interesting one. It's holding tiles, and then the Reyna just swings from the catwalk and didn't have the reaction time. Tested, trying to find that spray. This is where the Sovas really start to thrive, but you need to find the value. We saw Jay Chronic do it. Now it's up to Tested to do it. Man advantage to the defense, and, well, all 3 out towards sidewalk for PSC.
Tested gets the scan on 3 people. He knows they're all on the site. There's 1, there's 2. No way does he survive that one. 2 people, almost 3 looking at him. Comey had his back with the 3rd. Tested. Almost a 1v3 there. My word. 15-10. Still keeping that Ares. Sitting on B. The damage stats must be ridiculously high as well. He's been doing so much in these early rounds here, Tanner. And this is the comeback that University of Hawaii are looking for, right? I mean, now they're 5 on the board. Won a few rounds in a row. Definitely feeling themselves.
Picking up the pistol was kind of the biggest thing. PSC, they had a few rounds to play with, and I mean, Cold, this is where the strengths are. We saw it last time on Ascent. If you have the lesser weaponry, you have to play these close angles, and he's able to find the value once more. This is PSC's full buy round. They have to try and find their way out of the gutter now, or else they're going to be forced to reset their economy once more.
There's the Ares through the smoke. Nice little finish up there with the assist of that Ares. Sorby ends up falling. A lot more damage done to that Reyna as well. Oh, Finn. I was going to say he's in a precarious position, but maybe not, as he does end up taking down Cold QT as they do make their way onto the site. Plant is coming through as the spike gets dropped. Kessage used the shock dart, lands on the site narrowly hitting Jay Chronic there. And every spam through the wall still quite rather prominent as... With the flash. Ooh! Caught sleeping. Sorston trying to look away from that flash. Ends up facing his own death, and now Komi running onto the site, and Manoa yet again find another defuse.
Another round win, another Beyblade performance there. This time it's Mikey to do it, and 3 stay alive in your bonus round. That feels great. You reset this offense. They're going to be back on the pistols. Maybe they force up something here in SMGs and try to go quickly, and it does look like Teague wants to do that. We see, PSC, they've kind of been forced on the back foot. And, well, they looked pretty good when they were taking these fights. They were able to win them when they were on defense. Now on offense, they're going to have to try and find those same angles. Whereas on the side of University of Hawaii, their defense not only has been looking a whole lot better, right? 5 in a row coming out of the, I guess 3 in a row out of the half, but 5 in a row total, and their economy flourishing. 3 members got to upgrade their weapons there, and now Prefix in a tough spot. I say tough spot, but he does it again.
Very nice. Teague, unfortunately, couldn't get close enough to him. He just dashed away. Let's got that judge. Hit control as well. From Cold QT. This is a precarious position if you're PSC right now. If they want to take mid control, they might not expect Cold QT to push that far up. And he goes down to Komu, who's playing an aggressive angle. He takes another one down with him as well.
One enemy remaining.
Manoa playing so aggressive, Tanner. This is what you want to see. Really resetting the mental, it feels like. Komi with another kill. Make that 3 in that round.
This is going to be no command number 3 on the game for Komi, who has been... You look at the kill feed, and you say, 11 and 12, whatever, but the 9 assists right behind it, what he's done, the impact that he's had in the last couple of rounds, and again, another ultimate. When you look at what's online for PSC, you've got that lockdown to try and make a play. You've got the Hunter's Fury. Obviously, you might save that one for the counter lockdown, but either way, that no command is probably about to get all the value it needs, and Prefix is going to get the information that they need.
Oh, the dash straight up! I mean... aggression, yeah, okay. That's to a whole new level. I think Valorant 2 levels of stuff, you know? Like, I don't know about dashing into 5 people like that. Didn't even have the knives equipped either. I was hoping maybe for a random frag.
And I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? The aggression continues. Unfortunately, that one unbridled, and now the lockdown for free. No command to slow it down just yet. And oh, Cold, you gotta go, buddy.
There's one. In a second, Cold QT ends up getting taken out, but he does trade for one at least. Lockdown has been completed. No players detained. Sorston pops the Empress as he moves on to the site. About 3/4 of that left as well, so that should be enough time. Nice little reveal there from the recon bolt, but they don't end up picking up any kills. But look at this, Komi on the back line. Oh no, Jay Chronic. He read him like a book, and he closed the chapter on that one. Tested on in heaven, does manage to find one, but instantly traded. Jay Chronic takes out Tested, and PSC 10 rounds on the board. They end that streak from Manoa.
Finally, they've Lightning McQueened their way across the finish line, tongue out, and just getting that photo finish to eventually slow down this team. And a huge read. Jay Chronic, you can see why kind of transitioning from coach position into player position, and the strengths in that, he's got the brain behind it. He knows with that door closed, if they're not pushing heaven, or if they're only pushing heaven, they're foolish. They need to go elsewhere, and he's ready for that flank.
Early recon bot there. Pretty nice, because they know Prefix is playing very aggressive. Whether it's an op or a rifle or knives or whatever it may be. He's going to make his way onto heaven. I'm just aiming at the smoke. I'm going to push it just yet. Oh no, they know he's there now. Spike has been planted though. Another good start. Swabby, unfortunately, got in the way of those bullets. But taking heaven control yet again is going to be a bit of a pain for them. Luckily enough, they do force people away, but Finn has been suppressed and killed off.
One enemy remaining.
I mean, even with the null command here, that's a free revive, basically, right? I mean, it's Jay Chronic in the back. He isn't going to be able to do too much. Nice, flawless win from Manoa. Now they're almost tying this map up now, Tanner.
It feels kind of slimy to call that one a flawless because the KO did go down, but
technically he went down. Yeah. Okay.
So I do like that the game recognizes that, right? Because if the Sage reses, it's not considered a flawless round. So it is cool that that was recognized. Heads up again, no command. Nobody on the site. The spike is planted. What's going on? Where are the attackers? Well, it's Jay Chronic who's trying to play in the post plant with the lineups, and the null command just completely shuts it down. Now you have to take a 1v4 gunfight. And well, Teague, he's not too happy about these lost rounds.
Oh, he is not, and Tegan does end up going down, but he does assist in the kill onto Commie. However, look at the amount of utility being placed down by Mike, and the rest of his team are going to be able to rotate too. Prefix pulling the knives of his own, and another round on the board for Manoa. Their mental not cracked. They're about to tie this one up, and Prefix managed to save that op as well. Their buys are looking healthy across the board, and this is what we wanted to see, the complete bounce back. It looked hopeless almost. They're a team. We're a defender team. That's what we are. That's what we do best. Apparently that is coming to fruition.
And the economy is, I mean, they're doing their best PSC impression, right? They've got a couple of members just around max creds, and they've been playing the defense so kind of like a slinky, right? Just back and forth, aggressive in some rounds, taking the space back, giving some space to PSC, and again, lulling them in, making them think that they're safe or that there's not going to be somebody in these angles, and the rounds are just slipping away. Now that last one, an interesting spot for PSC. They were kind of reset a little bit, and the knives didn't get the value they had hoped for. This time around, it's another quick take towards A, but they don't find anything off the rip.
Oh, and Mike is quite happily just sitting in hell there. Commie unfortunately doesn't get the kill through the smoke, but Prefix does make up for it, and Mike makes up for it a little bit more. And now Jay Chronic on the site. 1v4 situation. He's cleaned up. Almost an ace there for Mike. Mikey. And Manoa now tying it up. This is kind of ridiculous. They've almost flipped their score lines, going from attack and defense. Both teams seem like a defender kind of team. They end up going the full distance here, and it does end up being a complete mirror. That would be ridiculous.
That makes for a very exciting overtime, though, right? Because then the team that wins is the attacking team in OT. So should we get there, it's all about who can capitalize on the attack. And if you're PSC, you're thinking just a couple more rounds. We need to squeeze out 2 more rounds, obviously 3 to win. And that right there, this is the first round in a long time that we're seeing them come out on top.
Nice little juggle there. Yeah, nice little juggle just to try and get that gun away from the choke point, so no one from PSC can capitalize on that and gain a weapon for themselves. That reminds me of the flag juggling back in Halo.
Yeah.
Flag dropped, flag taken, flag dropped. Mikey's still sitting in hell, does get layered, but backs away pretty easily. Finn is super low, instant kill for Mikey, and this should just be a tough position for anybody to take him out in. Oh no, caught slipping, a little bit of a reload there, but Prefix from the heavens has managed to take out 2 with the operator. Teague finishes him off, but now they have site control.
1 enemy remaining.
Nice little knife, but that ain't gonna matter all too much. Sourced only with the Sheriff. And Manoa found themselves yet another round win. 11 points on the board now. They are so close to taking this first map after what was a disastrous start for them.
Very slow start for University of Hawaii, and I want to see a very slow round coming out from PSC. We see their strengths in the attacking side, right? They're able to win gunfights. They're able to move quickly. But now, University of Hawaii, they're adapting to it. They're playing back. They're not playing their same aggressive style. They're allowing... One of my favorite sayings in just sports in general is make them make a play, right? If you don't force them to make a play, then there's no errors to be made. And if you just give it to them, well, then it's just a free round, right? So if you're giving them the fights, if you're not forcing them to do something, you're walking into their crosshairs, you're put in a really tough spot. But University of Hawaii, they've now done that. They're forcing PSC to make plays, and they're capitalizing where they're falling short. They're getting a lot more utility out of their, utility out of a lot more usage, I should say, or value out of their utility, and they're doing stuff like that. Where now Jay Chronic is in a really tough spot, and you have to have heroic plays like that from Teague, and it just falls flat once more.
And he's just pushing up so far. The rest of the team's going to have to fight onwards. Empress has faded away, unfortunately, as well. Down does come out. It ends up getting finished off by Prefix, though, and a peek out of the smoke from Cold, but no! Cold QT is taken down. The plant comes through. The lockdown doesn't find anybody, as Prefix still sitting in heaven. Sawsons is taken down by Tree. Now Swabby in a very unenviable situation. There's the Hunter's Fury. He does find one, but can he do anything from Wine? Of course he cannot. There was almost no real hope there. You were going to run into two people. They knew exactly where you were. And there is the defuse. The University of Hawaii Manoa. Tanner, they're one round away from taking this map after losing all but 3 in their offensive rounds. They have now brought this back from the brink of defeat.
From the depths. And the game is so close. These next 2 rounds, if you're PSC, your buy already stinks right here. You've got some light shields, you've got some specters. But for the rest of the game, the next 2 rounds, you cannot reset this Hawaii squad. So they're going to be sitting pretty. It is going to be the toughest round you're going to see. And Teague is just sticking his head out again a bit too far.
Oh, and Komi makes an aggressive push as well. There's a flash popped round the corner. Komi takes another. Tested takes down Finn. And Swabby is the only one left. Has to make a clutch. It ain't gonna happen. Prefix takes him out with a knife. And the University of Hawaii Manoa, they take the first map. They won only 3 rounds on their attacking phase. Oh, on the attacking round, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then they pull it back on the defense. It looked almost unwinnable. How did they manage that?
Yeah, that was... I mean, we could see why that's their map pick and how comfortable they feel once they go on the defensive side. They obviously, again, have some things to clean up. The utility on the defense was obviously light years better than what they were able to get in terms of value on the offense. But I loved what they did. It almost seemed, and I never want to see this, and I never want to say this, but I'm going to do it right here, right now. It almost seemed like they were always confident in just winning the defensive side. It didn't matter how many they were going to get on the attack. They are a defensive side of team. It seemed the strategy and their play style around defense was so much more unique. It was so much more versatile. They had so much more in the playbook for the defensive side. That was, I mean, a Harry Potter, novel, a book that they had in defense versus, the kitty picture book they had on offense is what it seemed like. And I mean, it worked. It's a scary strategy. It's a scary way to play it, but they were able to get it done against the team that we thought were going to be, the team that should come back in situations like that.
We'll see if they can tie it up one apiece after this break. Do not go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you in a bit. Everybody, welcome back. I was like looking at my other screen then for a second, but no, we're here, we're live, we're ready to rock and roll. Map number 2 coming up in just a moment. University of Hawaii, looking not so hot coming out the gate on Ascent. Yeah, they only took 3 rounds, but then pulled it back in quite quick fashion when they were defending. Oh man, PSC. It looks so good. It did look so good, but they just dropped the ball when they went on to the attack. It honestly did feel like both teams, we defended teams. That's just what we do. We just defend properly, and then our attack a little bit wimpy here and there. But speaking about Valorant, Tanner, did you know? I think everybody should know that there's a $25,000 prize pool for October. Make sure you go check out the website. It is clsesports.gg and has the regional qualifiers happening from the 23rd to the 24th of October, and then the playoffs right at the end of the month. It's going to be a good one. That's a large prize pool as well. Make yourself something nice with that money. I'm sure. Make yourself a nice dinner. I don't know what would you do with money apart from make food and pay rent. I don't know.
True. Yeah, that's me. That's life. It's felt like for quite some time. I feel like actually even before.
Yeah, you can't go out and do anything.
Yeah, but even before this, I kind of feel like I wasn't touching much grass anyways, to be completely honest. So a prize pool like that, I would, even if everything was still opened up, I'd be in the same boat. Just food and rent. To be honest.
Yeah, you could eat some fancy food. That's fine. That's fine by me. Yeah. It wasn't some fancy Valorant though even. That was close. Finals coming up tomorrow, of course. The winner of this series will end up going up to face against Carleton University, who are looking just unbelievable earlier on today. If you haven't seen that match, it's definitely worthwhile going to look at. But here we jump into the next map. It's going to be Haven, and the University of Hawaii Manoa are in the lead currently 1-0. Are they still a defending team on Haven? We'll have to wait and see, of course. Let's have a look at what's going on down in Agent Select, though, Tanner.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I think it's scary, although PSC picked this one, or Western Virginia University. They picked this one, but we kind of saw their strategy on Ascent was feeling fairly deathball-y. They're kind of just stacking up together, looking to play one right after another. It fell short. Now here on Haven, you can be spread a whole lot more thin, and that deathball strategy might get a bit more value, but I think Hawaii just looks so good on defense. So I think that is kind of the tail of the tape, where we're at, how Hawaii kind of stacks up as the defensive squad coming into this one once more.
Okay, no more KO, maybe? You got something that you want to pick up? Maybe not pick the Sky? I did like seeing the KO. I'm not going to lie to you.
Ooh.
It was pretty fun. But is he going to do it? Is it going to be the bait and switch? Potentially. Instant lock-in, though, for PSC. They know exactly what they want to play. Teague, of course, back on that Jet, Tanner.
Yeah, so Teague on the Jet. I think this should be a better showing of a composition put together by PSC. Something that you don't see a lot of, but Breach actually making his way into the composition here. That tells me that Sawston and Teague want to be hand in hand, and unfortunately, you don't really get the same value as the Reyna like we saw in Ascent. So having this Breach, it's a little less than the Sky in terms of information, but you do still get heaps of value because now that the Sky has kind of taken that backseat and can't do the same individualistic plays, has to play with the team. The Breach does the same exact thing. Tosses out the stuns and then looks for the flash and dash plays. I think we're going to get a lot of that, and we're starting on offense. So this is really the time for Sawston and Teague to shine.
Yes, it is. As we load in to Havens, could be the final map of the day. They'll crown another semi-finalist winner. That will move on to the finals. Remember, big prize pool we're playing for as well.
Right there.
A lot of money on the line, that is for sure. The team that does end up winning this is guaranteed $1,250. A lot of early aggression, though, it looks like. Straight onto A. They are not messing around. Teague spots the alarm bot. Here comes the bird, though. Nice little flash. Has to run away. A little bit of damage done by Mikey, but can't quite finish anything off. Meanwhile, though,
Spike
Finn,
down
spot the
A.
flanker. Goodbye. See you soon. Don't bother sending me a postcard. Prefix ends up falling down, but not after. He does take a life with him. Now, what an odd position that they're in. Spike has been completely surrounded. Swabby, not really sure where to go there. You are against 3 after all. Finn at least takes another one down, but Komi's going to be able to finish it off the round. Manoa, take the pistol.
Nice lurk from Finn. Unfortunately, the team moving forward were silenced by the University of Hawaii defense, and then they're just able to nest egg right on top of the spike. It's the death ball strategy once more. It's just the pistol round, but it seems like PSC are kind of falling into this lull state where they're not really thinking about what they're doing. And I don't mean this in any disrespect, but that strategy was how they tried to finish out game number 1. Now they started again here in game number 2. I would like to see them, like I said, coming into this one, maybe not in this round as it's the anti-eco and the Marshals. Oh my goodness, Jaws, getting the value that you would hope for. But going into these next few rounds, I want to see PSC try to spread this University of Hawaii team thin.
Enemy remaining. Spike down.
Oh boy.
Mid. Long.
This ain't going to happen, is it? Nope. Just a flawless round. No armors at all on the side of PSC. So, like you said, the Marshal's getting maximum value. 2 shots to the body, and that was it. 2 people dead. That was unfortunate. All this happened at exactly the same time as well, mind you. 1 peak C long, 1 peak to mid. Both of them taken out by Prefix and Cole's QT, respectively. Buy round, though, now. At least not quite a full buy, unfortunately. A couple of light armors there.
And it stings, but that's your punishment for bringing that Sheriff into round 2.
Wow, already?
And, yeah, again, right off the rip, PSC is always on the back foot, it feels.
Teague is going to have to come up rather clutch once again. This guy has been a bit of a menace when he's got the op in his hands, but... Rifle, I'm sure he can click heads too. It's the flash over the top. Swabby ends up going down. Omen falling means a lot less smokes to your name as well. 3v5 as Teague hovering around the orb.
And Sawston watching the flank. It does get value in him watching the flank. Jake Chronic completely asleep there. Not too sure what he was expecting, but it's just the numbers once more dwindling down in the most important round. Comey picks up 4. That is... What just happened? What was Jake Chronic?
I like to say that I blinked when that kind of stuff happens to me, and I don't blame my reaction times. I'm like, I was blinking, bro.
So that was a long blink. That was a long blink. It looked like Mikey kind of took a peek out and was like, hey, these guys don't see me just yet, and then took the shot. That was very interesting. Could be paying attention to the map because of the positioning that Sawston was looking to find out towards mid. Maybe just looking at the mini-map, got caught off guard. But again, a really tough spot to be in. It's University of Hawaii. They started slow, but now since they've kind of really catapulted themselves forward, they're not stopping anytime soon.
Oh, there's so many Marshals out in mid. Old QT does give up a gun, unfortunately, with a very aggressive peek from Garage. Shock darts. How long as well? Oh. Finn, unfortunately, taking the brunt of that one. Does send the drone down. Finn trying to find the trade. They find the recon bolt hit, but look at how many players are down there. Here comes the rotations now. Are they going to be able to... Are PSC going to be able to push up in time? The flash was absolutely massive. It found 2, and so did Comey. Oh, dearie me. There's no chance of you being saved there. Yeah, Comey with the humongous flash finds 2 as they were trying to push up. It felt like they just needed to go a little bit quicker, but the delay from Manoa was just too great for PSC to handle. They didn't really have the guns either, though, to be fair. They did manage to scavenge 1 from Cole QT in the earlier stages of the round, but that was it, Tanner.
It's all they had to work with, and again, it kind of, that play specifically, flash for flash, comes down to the timing. Sawston tosses his out, and it's a second too late where Comey can swing off the back end of his flash, and that flash point from the breach is essentially behind him. So the timing on the flash was so much less. And that is the second time Comey has done that. He sprays through the mid wall back towards spawn and got another kill. You have to start reading stuff like that. You have to be more wary at the beginning of these rounds.
He ends up going down as well to an op, and you look at the position now from PSC, they don't really have much map control at all. Like, it's going to be almost impossible to take C-Long. Previous is just sitting there, just scoped in. It's ready for someone to make a move. There's one from Manoa as well, just sitting in garage. OQT's not going to give that up anytime soon. B is fairly open, however. Comey does end up going down to Finn. There's the cage. Bomb is in their hands, and it's going to get planted, but can they do anything from here? Neural theft available, but not anymore, as Finn actually ends up going down. I feel like they really needed that to try and maybe clutch the round out, but now it's a 4, make that a 3v2, 3v1. Swabby's going to come in, find a nice little headshot on Cole QT, make that a second. Prefix ends up going down. Can he clutch? No, he can't. Mikey is going to get the kill and get the defuse. Manoa continue their streak, 5-0 now. PSC falling by the wayside.
Round 5 is typically where we see the losing team start to make their swing back into it. Not the case this time around. Fortunately, 5 in a row means you're at max loss bonus. So we're seeing PSC still be able to buy into this next round. It's not going to be the best for some of the players. And obviously, that utility, it can be fairly expensive across the board. I want to highlight what Mikey did in that round, because Mikey was basically asleep the entire round over towards the A side. He is the sole anchor, and then he comes in to take a fight against the Swabby, who just downs 2 of his teammates, and he wins it out, right? That just, it lets you know where their head is. Like we've seen PSC fall asleep. That is not happening from University of Hawaii.
They've got the Divide, they have Seekers, Neural Theft still available for PSC, and a lot of utility. Rolling Thunder as well. Like, that's pretty good for clearing out one of the sides on B. Just force the position. Rufik's still sitting in this garage window. He's untouched again.
And if you want to make a play anywhere else, you have to answer to somebody. Finn going for the late lurk. One's right on into Mikey. And look at the position for Comey out towards C-Long, right? They know exactly where they're at. Now the ult comes through, and Cold sitting it down.
Yeah, Rolling Thunder not finding all too much. Maybe a little bit of opening on B. There's the Neural Theft. Mikey trying to preemptively peek. Has managed to find Finn. Now it's a 1v3. Sorston, 10 HP. He's got a fault line to work with and an aftershock, but that's about it. There's the dog to KO. Goodbye. Sorston goes down. Another round on the board for Manoa. 6-0 in the first half. Timeout called by Finn. They just go over what they want to do. I mean, this is probably the best time to use the timeout, to be fair with you, halfway through this first round.
I'm interested to know what the economy is coming out of this one, because I think it might be, again, full loss bonus, but buying down to 0 2 rounds in a row for PSC probably finds them on a bit lesser of a buy. They do have the Hunter's Fury. They do have the Bladestorm online, and they could look to make a play with that from the shadows and try and find something on the flank, or at the very least some information. But once more, coming into this one, I think the discussion needs to be, hey, how do we play these defaults a bit better, right? How do we not give up as much information? Because we just saw in that previous round, they're not able to spread. Wait, it's 3 spike sites. You have so much. You basically have the 5-point stance across the site, but because there's no pressure on A, they're able to put Mikey there all by themselves. Out towards C, you can put however many you want. And then worst case scenario, you've got 3 stacked up towards this mid B area, because PSC continue to try and push that. And they're conceding not only all of the A sites, because they're not even going that way. The Mikey's utility is letting the team know that, But Kami just pushing up out C long, it lets you know that, hey, these guys are either garage, they're either out towards B, and that's where they're able to put 3 members. Now they're looking to mix it up, and I love this. University of Hawaii understands that after a timeout, they're looking to do something funky. They try to have an answer, and it's a friendly fire stun to slow Teague down for now.
Unfortunately, the fault line didn't really get too much there. Eyes been drawn by Teague. Trying for the pop-off. It's going to spot Mikey too. That turret is being rather frustrating to the rest of his team. Only a single knife left. Doesn't really find all too much with it at all. Space has been garnered though. We still have control of near their spawn side and a little bit in main, looking towards those double doors or garage even. That looks like a complete rotation. They know the op, of course, is A side. So can rotate to C now, Tanner.
In a preemptive guiding light a bit early reveals no information. It reveals that, hey, I didn't blind anybody, so there's nobody pushing up long. There's nobody on the site immediately. That recon bolt maybe makes you think, okay, they're fainting out towards the C side. So it is going to draw that rotation. And finally, PSC have put a bit more on the offense here. Teague aggressively forward here. No knives, but just the classic, and he's about to meet Mikey.
Yeah, what a fake. Mikey manages to sneak through. How is that even possible?
Down A.
Teague manages to kill him. Maybe picks up the weapon as well. I can imagine he did. Yep, there you go. Straight in hell. Manages to pick up the rifle.
The clock, though.
Only 10
You're running out
seconds
of time.
remaining. They're going to have to get the plant. It is in the choke. There's the jump down from Komi, and they are going to be able to get that plant down.
No,
1
I don't
second
think
to
so.
go. Oh, no way. That was 0.01 second or something stupid away from being planted.
Wow.
Oh, that was if that spike was a couple of pixels up that ramp, maybe they were able to get it there. 7-0 for Manoa right now.
I didn't quite see what Sostin was doing. He hesitated on that ramp, having that spike in hand. I think maybe was queuing up some utility to try and get his way on, but it took way too much time. And you also have to look back, and the one thing for PSC, it all worked so well, but that dark cover, it was a bit too far forward on the site. It allowed Mikey to sneak on through, and that's why the spike was dropped where it was. Although the Killjoy ended up dying, I mean, the damage was done at that point. There were 17 seconds on the clock, and PSC just had to try and scramble. That is one of the worst ways to lose, and I think that's why we see PSC leaning towards this faster style, because they don't want to play against the clock and put themselves in situations like that.
Okay, it looks like they want to try almost the same thing again. The sewer control as well right now. Know where the bot is, they take it out, they check the corners. Nano Swarm doing a fair bit of work though to Jay Chronic. Still in heaven, there's the flash, they make their way in. The flashpoint is going to hit not once but twice. Teague taking down Mikey. Prefix pulling the knives. Is going to get back, and Hunter's Fury is going to prevent that spike actually going down. They're definitely going to want to put it down now. They can't make the same mistake twice. Divide available too. Stars are going to come out here, Tanner.
Good Asher utility. The flank already answered as well. This could be PSC's first time on the board, and they've only got 2 members to cut through. Make it 1.
Yep, there you go. And done just like that. PSC, they find themselves back on the board. Is this going to be the flip around where both teams can defend? They can't attack? Is that a situation where finding themselves in again? I wonder. Only time will tell, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to like this. Obviously, isn't pubs, right? This isn't your competitive games. But when you're playing in the unknowns, teams versus teams, right? Usually, defense is a little bit easier. On Haven, though, this is generally an attacker-sided map, so this is a very scary place to be. But because it is kind of that unknown pub-style setting where you're not too sure what to expect, as Prefix does it to Teague again.
And it's been all about the Jets today. That is for sure. Been making his way to garage. Oh, see you later, son.
Enemy kill.
Another kill for Prefix as well. That's his second of the round already with that op.
Enemy remaining.
And
Spike down
Manoa
mid.
are just dominating across the map right now. It's just a small series, Tanner, of 1v1s. It's another 1v1 here, there, everywhere, you know? No trading to be had. And the best thing for Manoa right now as well, one, they know where Swabby is, but two, they have ults built up as well. They have the lockdown. They have the divide if they really need them. And up until this point, they haven't at all. An emergency situation. This is absolutely spot on for them. It's perfect.
So I would like to see, for the last couple of rounds that we have here, PSC go back to what worked. It was still the death ball strategy, but it was death ball strategy mixed with what they did previously. In this one, they look to take 1v1s, like you said, throughout basically the entire round, and they lose them. They win the rounds in strength and numbers. What they did in the round that they won was that death ball strategy. They make some noise, but it's not enough noise for University of Hawaii to want to rotate. They still hold their ground like they have been for the entire game. They're not over-rotating, and then PSC was able to play the strength in numbers. If you go for the 1v1s, the 1v2s, there's always a buddy system some way, somehow set in place for University of Hawaii, and it's not working. So I would like to see them, as much as I kind of disrespected the death ball, I like what they did with it. They adapted it for that one round in kind of lulling University of Hawaii into thinking, okay, they're making noise, they're going to feint, so we're going to hold our ground. This is where they could do it again. It's only one person on that A site. They're starting to make a bit too much noise here, so the rotations are coming, but I would like to see them, after this lockdown, re-exec A here, because, again, the numbers are spread across the map for Manoa.
All seaside rush, it seems like. Manoa, they know it's happening, and here comes the rotations. Quickly through C long, though. RPSC. Prefix has to back out. The dark cover lands straight on his head. Dog comes through as well. Manoa trying to gain as much information as possible. The only thing that they do know, I feel, is everybody's on the site right now. A couple of people in garage. For Manoa. The birds are going to come through as well. No, it's going to get destroyed, in fact. He takes down one, but no, Prefix wraps this one up with an op. There's the second kill for him. PSC wiped off the face of the map. And that will be 9 rounds on the board for Manoa. PSC, they need to at least claim a couple more here. This is not looking good. This could be Manoa going through to the finals if PSC aren't careful.
Yeah, this is, you're getting, you're telling yourselves as a team, okay, guys, 8-4. If 8-4, we can still flip it. 8-4, we can still flip it. 9-3, you're really kind of stretching. Everybody kind of understands, okay, 9-3, the 9-3 curse, that exists. We can turn this around. It just happened to us in that last game. They're really getting down to the wire. It looks like they will have kind of a hindered bye coming into this one. If they lose it, it's going to be the same exact thing going into the next. So 11-1 is on the table, and I think one of the scariest things is we're getting this perspective of Comey, who's been so huge thus far.
Oh, nerf what exactly? He's still flashing and peeking as the sky. Cole QT is going to finish up another couple of kills. There's one. It does get traded, but I mean, this is as good as over. The knives have been pulled by Teague, but can he get anything done? Oh, spots the barrel. Prefix doesn't know Teague's here in this cubby in the corner. Oh, dear. Wrong place, wrong time, buddy. Unfortunately, to pull out your knife there. I think he thought it was more than safe, but apparently it wasn't. They know he's in mid, though. There you go. Taken out, and a 10-1 scoreline for Manoa. Last round in the half, and a nice little bye for Manoa. 2 is mix and match for PSC, unfortunately. Bit of a pick and mix of utility and guns.
Yeah, you're reaching your hand into the toy box and just grabbing whatever you can. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit is kind of the mood here. And like you mentioned, the knives were online for Teague. This is the round where Teague needed the knives. You toss that weapon over to somebody else. You grab yourself a nice secondary, or maybe even one of those Spectres, and you use that Blade Storm, and you be that catalyst for your team. Now they're trying to go quick again, but this has been answered before. We'll see if they could find a 10-2.
I mean, they do already.
No
Comey
way.
once again picks up 2 in the early round. They even use the Rolling Thunder to try and clear some space on C. Seekers are going to come through too. Swabby nearsighted. Prefix finds another. At least they find 2, but it's a 1v3 now. Swabby's got A lot of work to do. He finds one. Pulls out the sheriff. Can he find the next? One's behind him or one's in front of him. One garage, one backside C. They're both going to collapse at the same time, but Swabby finds one, but doesn't find anything more. Nice headshot to finish him off. 11-1. Manoa looking to take this one home and see themselves in the final against Carleton University tomorrow.
In the PSC, the copium, 11 is all they get. 11 is all they get is what the fans are saying right now. You have to go absolutely huge. The one thing, just based off of what we've seen today, that we can kind of lean on here is that both of these teams have looked a whole lot stronger on defense. University of Hawaii, though, that much stronger, right? We see the 9-3 instead, an 11-1, and it was pretty close to that. It was a 10-2 or a 10-1, and their defensive side on Ascent to end up winning that map. So a scary place to be at this scoreline. You win this pistol round, you take it round by round if you're PSC, and at the very least, now you don't have to worry about how you're going to make these plays happen. You get to let UH make a play, and you can pick apart their errors. Now, Comey is not making many errors, so you have to try and sit this guy down because of what he's done to this game so far.
Free little orb take. Like that any day of the week. UT almost fully in control. What a play. Okay. Fault line. But no, already PSC have found one. Nice little blind there to get across the choke. Look at the stack, though, from PSC onto the C site. Prefix finds a nice flank. He's cleared out B completely. And there is one person lurking all the way back in their own spawn for PSC right now, ready to make a move wherever his team tells him to. Cole QT is going to take out Swabby. Can he do anything else? He has full garage control, of course, and the spike is going to go down. Sorston knows he's there, but is dicing with death right now. Does manage to punish him. 3v3. Low health bars on PSC, though, as Comey does manage to take out Finn. Like, still down on the ground, however. Still so low. Headshot onto Sorston. Can the Sheriff Flicks do it? No, they cannot. Manoa, 12-1. PSC in trouble. Match point now. Manoa 1 round away from going to the finals.
This is... I mean, it took a scary start to the first half of the first game for University of Hawaii to show us the team that they are. Now, Haven, obviously a different map than Ascent, but same kind of idea, right? You want to have these multifaceted approaches. You want to play through the mids. You want to try and have these splits. And in that pistol round alone, they were the ones spreading PSC thin. They were the ones picking them apart and finding the numbers advantage. Now PSC, I mean, it's just, they're throwing caution to the wind here at the end.
T? All right, okay. Massive push in. But Prefix and Comey, they're just to back this one up. They are throwing caution to the wind and then some. Jay Chronic's going to find one. Now it's a 1v1 to keep him in the game and keep him in the series. But it's not going to happen. Prefix with 4 kills. 13-1. Manoa take the win. 2-0 in the series as well. And they will face off against Carleton University in the finals tomorrow. What a map to round it out. Pure domination from the University of Hawaii.
Wow. Like I said, coming into that last round, that is the team. I had questions after the first one. They started a little slow. I was kind of doubting in my own head, right? There's nothing out loud that I had actually said, but I was thinking, is this a team that they beat San Jose State University? How did they do that? What is that? You can see that there's obvious holes, and they were the number 7 seed. Somehow they found the upset, and then they just absolutely come online. It was the pregame jitters, right? It was the east to west jitters. And then once they were here, I mean, you cannot say goodbye to this University of Hawaii team. If you're looking at this, right, Carleton University, they got to sit back. They got to get some extra eyes on this University of Hawaii team. And I think you're looking pretty scared after that Haven map.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, they got some eyes on them, that's for sure. But Haven, I guess they didn't really get too many eyes because they only had, what, like 14 rounds? So,
yeah.
13, 14 rounds. So, yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Maybe Carleton University doesn't want to take them to Haven. That's all to find out, of course, tomorrow. Tanner, I mean, is there much more to break down in that map? I mean, I feel for them, man. PSC, I really do feel for them. It looked pretty damn good on Ascent, but Haven was just not their map at all.
Yeah, I wonder if the players kind of had the same ran into the same problems that you and I were doing, right? And doing our research on the desk, we didn't really find a whole lot. So going back and looking at this one, if you're West Virginia University, you're gonna see how many times you could have made something work because of the way that University of Hawaii was playing defense, right? They weren't biting on any of the feints. Very, very few times were they actually doing that. And you almost found 3 rounds in a row of success. One of them, you did find success in kind of feinting towards the A site. This is one, looking back at it, you're kind of kicking yourself in the butt, wishing you had a bit more footage on this team.
Yeah, maybe. Back to the drawing board, though, that is for sure.
Yeah.
And they are still guaranteed some prize money as well.
Yeah.
Worth keeping in mind, a cool $625. So, not too bad whatsoever. But we do have an interview, Tanner. University of Hawaii, they do take the series 2-0. Let's get their thoughts behind that one. I want to know what they thought on Haven. I'm not going to lie, because that was rabid, I think, Commie, there.
Yeah.
How did you feel coming into the series today? I mean, it looked a little bit 50-50, especially on the defending rounds, that is for sure, on Haven. It looks like both teams were defending. How did you feel about coming into this series today? Did you have a lot of footage on PSC?
I don't think we had any footage or watched anything of their games. We just played our own game and played really well today.
Yeah, the map 2 definitely looked a lot different. What was kind of, I guess, the adjustment? Obviously, you guys had a phenomenal defense on Ascent, but you start off 9-3. Can you kind of talk us to what the thoughts are as a team at that point when things are looking fairly grim?
You're down I think 1-9. No one was emo or getting mad. Everyone was still really hyped. Even when I think we just won our second round and it's 9-2.
I mean, that's good. At least the spirits were still high, that's for sure. So let's talk us through that Haven real quick. That has to be one of your favorite maps. I mean, taking it in that fashion, that is crazy.
Haven, I don't know. We just had a lot of confidence after coming back on Ascent. We don't actually play Haven that much compared to some other maps, but we just felt really confident and just won all our fights.
That you did. That was one of the things that we were kind of picking apart, whereas anytime it was numbers advantage, PSC would start to win the fights, but outside of that, the 1v1s every time, it was you mostly, actually. I'm glad that we got to interview because you were having a phenomenal game on the Sky. There were so many times where something is happening somewhere and then your name is in the kill feed for 2 kills or something of the sort. I want to kind of pick your brain on I guess who is kind of calling for the team and what having a performance like that does for you and your team and your IGL. And I also want to hear about the Sky and the KO picks, right? KO gets buffed, you pick it on Ascent. Sky gets nerfed, you picked it on Haven. Can we pick your brains about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I actually IGL for the team, and then
Perfect.
for Ascent, I feel like KO is really strong because you can farm his ult with the ult orbs, and then since the bomb sites are pretty small, you can just ult and you pretty much get the site for free usually. Although our attack side wasn't working that well, that was kind of the concept for KO. And then for Sky, I think having the dog and the Sova drone just makes taking T side a lot easier, and having the flashes are just really strong for individual plays or getting information.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. We did interview Niner a little bit earlier on, and he had some fighting words for the teams that were left in the tournament. What do you feel about Carleton University going into tomorrow?
I feel pretty good. I know that I think I was watching the stream earlier, and you guys said that they didn't lose a map yet, so I think it's gonna be a good game.
Yeah, hopefully you can take one of those maps off it. Well, thank you, Commie, and thank you for your words. We'll see you in the finals tomorrow. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Tanner. I mean, yeah, I'd be a little bit scared, definitely, if I was University of Hawaii. But after that Haven game, your spirits are definitely up. That is for sure. I mean, yeah, they may have won 28 maps in a row, but that streak has to come to an end. I mean, that's what I'd be telling myself if I was in their situation.
Yeah, I mean, pretty recently, Hawaii is also kind of on their win streak, right? Undefeated all the way throughout their bracket to get here to win 2-0. So they're sitting pretty as well. They've got that big goose egg in the loss column to defend for themselves. So there's a lot going into that one. And I think I'm so happy. I don't know if in the east side of things, I would imagine WVU, PSC, and Carleton probably play each other. I don't think they did in the bracket leading to here. So I was thinking, oh, if we get East versus East, like that would be kind of cool. I am so excited to see that we're getting number 1 in the East, number 1 in the best. This is, for the finals, it's the best it could get.
It really is. And that is going to be it for the semi-finals today. Make sure you tune in. Same time tomorrow, though, 1 p.m. PT. As we've got the finals coming up, Carleton University versus the University of Hawaii Manoa. It's going to be an absolute banger. You won't want to miss it. But from me, Jaws, and Tanner, that's going to be it for today in the lovely production. We'll see you tomorrow.